Argos TV. It's a great Wednesday here in March. Boy, spring has sprung. I mean, I don't really see many flowers out yet, but I see pictures that people have flowers out.
Plugged in, audio wise.
What?
Your audio is not on.
Come to me instead.
Yeah, doesn't hurt the amp up.
Or I'll just start.
All right, we're switching over.
Hello. Apparently we had some technical difficulties in the other room. Justin will be back later with some songwriting. Didn't he look fabulous though? That's some like daylight lighting. Sorry, we're putting things together. We were doing some scheduling. It's a little celebration going on here today. I got my first COVID vaccine shot this afternoon, so kind of threw us all in a little bit of a loop. So right now, I think we're gonna go and check out 10 minutes worth of promotions, and we'll be back with some speed drawing. Well, actually, I'm not gonna do speed drawing because it's gonna be me talking about it today. Justin's going to do some songwriting. Be Wise Gardens is here. We've got an episode of My Idaho Friends. Nathan, I didn't have notes, sorry. Nathan, who we'll talk about it here in a minute. I'll let you in on the secret. It's probably in the description, thanks to James's amazing writing. And Sarah Weber, plus Randy with yoga. So it's another Wednesday. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Sarah Weber, the Brain Cleanup Coach, and this is your 10-minute mindset fix on the basics of meditation. So I talk a lot about meditation. This is normally what we do, right? I teach and we meditate, but sometimes it's just really good to be reminded of the basics, to get back to what it's all about. And I bring this up because I had a realization in a meditation just yesterday. I used the Headspace app, and so I was listening to Andy Puttycombe, and he was leading the meditation and talking about, how normal it is for thoughts to arise and emotions to arise, and that's part of the process. And I realized that there would be no meditation without those interruptions. And that is the basis of meditation. It is choosing a focus. Oftentimes it's breath, but you can have a mantra, an affirmation that you're repeating over and over to try and incorporate into your subconscious mind. But whatever that focus is, the act of meditating is having that focus and then recognizing that thoughts are firing off, that thoughts are arising in your mind, and they can distract you. Right? It's like meditation is watching a clear picture, and then all of a sudden these images start popping in, and it's like squirrel or shiny object, right? You're like, ooh, what's that? And meditation helps us recognize when that distraction happens, and then we bring ourselves back to focus. And this is a fantastic way to train yourself for anything in everyday life that requires focus, whether it's work, communicating with a partner, a new skill you're learning, like these things that require you to stay focused. Meditation helps you build that skill.
Is that one?
And so that really is just the basic thing behind meditation. So we're going to do a really basic meditation today and just really focus on the breath and practice recognizing when a thought comes in, because thoughts will. A living brain is a thinking brain. The only time a brain stops thinking is when it's dead, when there's no energy coursing through it, activating neurons, which then result in manifested images and sentences and words that we can describe those images with, right? So to be alive is to have an active brain. But sometimes we need that brain to focus, and that's what meditation allows us to do. And in the focus, things get a little calmer. We don't have all the chatter happening in our mind. And if we do have the chatter happening, the more we practice the skill, the more we can kind of tune out the chatter. Even if it's happening in little whispers in the background, we can kind of tune it out and get back to our object of focus. So let's do it. Let's meditate. Let's do some meditation. And again, we're just going to focus on our breath. To start, we are going to connect with our breath, connect with our body. So we're going to start with 3 deep breaths. And I'm going to have you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, if you're able to do that. A deep breath in through your nose, a long exhale out through your mouth. We'll do this 3 times over. And on the final exhale, you can close your eyes. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with that first deep breath. In through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. And on this final exhale, go ahead and let your eyes close. And let's take a moment to check in with our bodies. So go ahead and bring your attention to where your body is connecting with itself or something else. So for instance, your backside, the pressure of that against the chair you're sitting in or the ground you're sitting on. If your hands are in your lap, perhaps you feel the weight of your arms or your wrists against your legs. You might feel your back leaning against a chair. You can feel the weight of your feet touching the bottoms of your shoes and the ground beneath. You might even be able to feel where your clothes are touching your body. So go ahead and just take a moment. Notice those sensations. And now go ahead and bring your attention back to your breath. And just notice the movements of your chest as you inhale and exhale. If you're breathing in through your nose, perhaps you feel the air passing through your nostrils. And now take a moment to think about the length and the depth of your breathing. Are you breathing kind of quick and shallow right now? Or is your breathing deeper and longer? There's no need to try and change how you're breathing. This is just a practice in noticing it. There's nothing wrong with how it's happening. No need to change it. It's just noticing, becoming aware. Now I'm going to encourage you to keep your focus on your breath. If your mind has started to think, that is normal and supposed to happen. Just go ahead and bring your attention, your focus, back to your breathing. again. Thought may have kicked in. You may have started to follow it. Here's another chance to practice the skill of bringing your mind back to your object of focus, bringing it to your breath. And one thing that may help you stay focused is to count your breaths, just up to a count of 6. So you count 1 on the in breath, 2 on the out breath, then 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and then start over again at 1. So why don't you go ahead and try that now? Again, if your mind got distracted, that's okay. Just bring it back. If you remember where you left off counting, start from there or begin again at 1 on the in breath. And now go ahead and take a final deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. And how was that for you? Were you able to stay focused? Was it a little hard? If it's hard, I've been meditating several years and my mind still loves to run around and wander when I meditate. So it is completely normal. Some sessions are more active than others, but the more active it is, the more practice you get in bringing your mind back to focus. So it's not a bad thing. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Down here in the corner, a little bit off into the distance, and yeah, let's keep working on it. So I've got the doe sitting in a field eating some flowers, and I want to make sure that I can draw these legs and flowers in, and just see. So that's here, that's with that, so that's going to be right about here is that muscle structure. A little contour drawing. Okay. Our feet. Super tall deer. Okay. We're going to draw lots of grass coming up around the deer too. So. Okay, so I've got a foundation of the deer, little guy here. Now, this is lots of grass. It'll be coming up here. And eventually I'll draw in some flowers. So, but I just want to kind of get those little grass established. I'm not sure if you can even see this yet, so this is just kind of filling in where this is going to go. So let's see, her neck, let's see, her face goes here. It's really cute. Back right there. And eyes. So it's St. Patrick's Day. And apparently everybody celebrated this weekend. And I think that's fantastic. I, however, did not go out and do anything for St. Patrick's Day. But in spirit, I'm always harboring some kind of green. Every day of my life, I like that color so much. Later on, we're going to have a My Idaho Friends episode, and I've hung a bunch of shamrocks that were actually drawn a couple years ago. They were cut out and drawn on a project that we did to try and raise money for HDSA, which is the Huntington's Disease Association of America. And I'm talking a little bit about that right now because that was the first time I ever did a community art project with them. And so it being St. Patrick's Day and me having the opportunity and still being involved with HDS Day, I hung up the shamrocks for decoration. So I can't wait for you guys to see those. That'll be at 6 o'clock with my Idaho friends. You might see a little glimpse of them with Justin and his songwriting. But I don't know, I didn't set up the studio, so I'm not gonna say you'll see them. I might do something later, but right now I'm just trying to draw this dough. And talking and drawing at the same time is always such a trick. Okay. Sweet. So I gotta take my handy dandy little kneaded eraser. Oh, actually I don't need a kneaded eraser. I need this one because I have an actual pencil going on here. And I wanted a little more scoop in her neck, so I scooped it and I'm eliminating that. So I'll be able to, yeah, there she is. I don't know if you can see that face. Maybe I should go in and do some charcoal so you can see that, but I kind of wanted to get a couple more. Yeah, get that line going in there. That's not her. Okay, and then here, top of her leg. Love this. Okay, and then I want that to accent there because that's that leg. Something I need to go in here and redefine his bone structure once I decide how much more reeds I'm going to put him hiding in. It's got a little bit of a bend to her leg here. Starting to let it get out for myself. I'm looking at this portion and trying to draw this portion. When that happens, you gotta take a step back because you don't want to go too far and then have to erase half of your drawing. Just breathe it out. Yeah. So, her back. There we go. And the back comes here. Let's give another muscle right there. And then there's that flank. We'll dip in it right there. Okay. And here is that muscle. Goes there. Okay. Sweet. Alright, now go back and eliminate all of the ones that might throw me off and create a different structure that I want. It's the beauty of contour drawing. You get all these beautiful little flows and then you just eliminate the ones that weren't part of the makeup of the drawing. But by being free with it, just makes it so much more fun. I always loved contour exercise drawings. I have an admiration for a local artist, Sean Aaron. You can meet Sean at JD's Bodega. I believe you could probably get your hands on one of his zines right now too. But he does these great contour drawings that are very unique to his own style. And I love the fact that he's taken something that we've all had to do in art school as warm-ups and made an art form out of it that is really cool. So, Sean Aaron. You can see him at the skate park, at JD's Bodega is where he works, and I believe Cackle Boy is his Instagram. But he's a local artist. We love to support local artists here. Alright, there she is. The dough. And it's about time to start giving her a little bit of charcoal. Coffee and look at her for a second. Ooh. That's pretty cool. Before I go too much further, let's make sure that we keep this coolness going on. And you can't see it probably because it's up out of your frame, but it is some sunflowers and they're pretty big. So I'm just gonna make sure that they get memorialized in here. It's the little things that I don't want to go away. Reasons why I took the picture in the first place, because I wasn't actually hunting deer, and there was a few of them down in that little gully on the second hole of Crane Creek Golf Course, and I was just so excited that they were just down there amongst the flowers and that there was still flowers to be seen. So. I enjoyed that. And it's my own personal drawing, so I don't have to stick with the 3 flowers that are on there. I can kind of throw in some more. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna leave this guy here for a moment. Maybe take it up there. Take it here. Take another one through here. Scoot out there. Okay. So foundation set for the dough. And now I can put her off to the side. And we have her.
What I'm doing in this game, I did in a scrimmage. Rappers wanna know there's beef and burning up bridges. Deep down they dealing with pain, they just wanna admit it.
At this point, before we go in there.
I'ma say Jesus and risk it. Treasure in heaven, generation with them, I pass the baton on my kids. Had to make sacrifices for this. I can fake, had to cut off some friends. Vision late ever since the beginning. Go get the bad, then bring it in. Every L was a lesson you did. At the nest, had to handle the biz. I bought a whatchamacallit, and it's chilling right over the fridge. They tryna hand me on money, no race. I gotta pick up the pace. They throwing shade, but I'm gone. You gotta keep it a buck to my face. Taking the gang out of space. Especially if you stay in your place. They ain't on all
was the case. They sleeping only night safe. I can do it on my own, yeah. They judging me off my mistake.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm being totally silent because I'm trying really hard to look and draw at the same time. Okay, so I want this defined little head. And get that in there. This one I like to break up because I've got like this foundation built, so in order to get in here and actually create a smaller image, the pencils are the only way to go.
Like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the. Wake up, get out the sheets. We came for war, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I am checked to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I am checked with the boys, not so tough, but minds keep walking. Just too sharp with the prize.
There we go. I'd lost that leg for a minute. Okay, so let's go in here. We can always fill this all in later once we get that. That's the leg. And the... Actually, friends. Needs a whole lot more of the darker. Figures. I love them. They're so cute. Take that one away. This one will be really fun to, like, when I get the speed drawing going, to fill in the rest of this. I highly recommend showing up for that one. I mean, I know I will. If you're just now tuning in, we have a great show today. We have a live episode of My Idaho Friends with Jaime Lima and his guest. And his guest is Nathan Warner. Let's see, I have a bio to read. Nathan Warner holds a BFA in Design and Technology from the San Francisco Art Institute. His tie with Boise is Tree Fort, so that'll be fun. We're gonna hear him and Jaime talk about Tree Fort, and then I'm not gonna get into any of the other stuff because you guys will hear all about it if you tune in at 6. I'm excited, so let's see. We've got to finish off this flank really carefully. Right here. I almost lost it, right? Okay, looks like that's how that goes there. Sweet. Get those muscles, the uniqueness of this animal's body, the contour. I think I'm having a really good time. I've never drawn a deer before. These guys are my first time ever drawing a deer. I've always been a bird drawer, so it's exciting for me. And hopefully entertaining as I sit here and stumble and laugh at myself, which is refreshing for me to be laughing at myself. There we go. Sweet. Okay. And I keep thinking that this looks awkward, but in the picture, the actual photograph, that leg looks awkward. So we're going to go with it. And let's throw these guys. Okay, at least I have 5 minutes left. I'm gonna take a step back, look at this, let you guys look at it. Oh, she's turning out really cute. Okay, and I'm starting to get back on track with that guy. Okay, let's take the 5 minutes and let's do a little of this. Because in the picture it's pretty much brighter than everything else, so that'll really help when I go to throw in the background stuff. So the idea I'm going to put forth right here is I'm setting a foundation on this guy, and when I go and fill in the rest of the black into some of these crevices, when I get to come back at the very end, I will get to use my pencil and really highlight more stuff. So it's a little different approach than when I did the swans, because the swans was purely trying to get a feel for what I was doing. I mean, at that point in COVID and the structure of everything we were doing and how do I fill a void of anxiety that was constantly nagging at me, it was really good to keep free drawing those emotions, those little memories that I remember, and the feelings of motherhood and being a wife, as the swan was, and love and loss, and processing some of the grief that I did through last year. This, I'm trying really hard to structure it as a hope and a springtime, that feeling of hope for this year. So got these two cool little characters that I've just met last summer, and they brought me a lot of joy. Not like that trickster. Holy cow. I struggled trying to get a photo of that guy, and I still only got a mediocre one at the end of the year. But hopefully, I'm using my luck of the Irish today that I will be a new camera owner so I can get back on track with the style of photography that I like doing. I've got tons of old cameras out there, but you know, I use them so much that the pixels, I just eat up cameras, poor little things. Anyway, stop jabbering. And we have the next phase of the picture. We have added in the next element, the doe. She's just doing her thing off into the distance, checking out the flowers. We'll keep working on the stag who's hiding in the weeds, brushes here in the foreground. Know that we're probably going to add a few more, especially if those days come up that I'm feeling like I want to hide. I like to draw one of those. So we'll see how that all takes action in the next couple of weeks. Still only sticking to 30 minutes. We'll do a speed painting this week and have that up on YouTube on the Argos TV .stream. That YouTube Argos TV stream. And, you know, just keep going with it. Then I'll be back next Wednesday to do another 30 minutes. And, yeah, thanks for joining me. I think we are just about to go to Jeston, and I'm going to let them get set up, and I'm just going to keep drawing. So this is me saying Happy St. Patrick's Day, and thanks for joining us on Argos TV.
Yeah, They tryna at me, I'm running the race. I gotta pick up the pace. They throwing shade, but I'm gone. You gotta keep it a buck to my face. Taking that gang out of space. It's best if you stay in your place. They hating on all of my songs. I don't know what can I say. They throwing shots, what I'm say by His grace. God is the shoot, I'm the lace. Running around, got me stoned, man. Feels like I'm stuck in the maze. Shoot at the Oculus a case. They sipping only 96. I can't do it on my own, yeah. They judging me off my mistakes. This flow is so heavenly. Most of my friends and frenemies. They tryna bring out the beast. I'm batting 1,000, my game is elite. I'm running around in the streets. They're tryna catch up, but they still can't compete. I thought they got in my sleep. He told me keep going, cause you got the lead. Count it up, all the brodies came through, then we added up. They was asking me questions, I had it up. I've been running with God, I just leveled up. They won't speak to my face, got that antidote. They been putting me on like I'm one of those. I can see what they hate, that just ain't me. Tell me a place that I can't go. I don't think they get it, they don't understand. I'ma do it for my homies and my fans. They don't see the vision, they just see the band. Eyes on the money like a rubber band. That is number one, I follow his command. You can try it, you won't get a chance. I'ma keep on going till I can, and abiding by his plan. They tryna at me, I'm running the race. I gotta pick up the pace. They throwing shade, but I'm gone. You gotta keep it a buck to my face. Taking that gang out of space. It's best if you stay in your place. They hating on all of my songs. I don't know what can I say. They throwing shots, what I'm say by His grace. God is the shoot, I'm the lace. Running around, got me stoned, man. Feels like I'm stuck in the maze. Shoot at the Oculus a case. They sipping only 96. I can't do it on my own, yeah. They judging me off my mistakes. Silver step into the play, you bet I'ma hit it. What I'm doing in this game, I did in a scrimmage. Rappers wanna know there's beef and burning up bridges. Deep down they dinner with pain, they just wanna admit it. Won't stop till I get it, speed it up when I'm winning. It's silver and undefined, period, no sentence. They tryna give me the fitting, I'ma say Jesus and risk it. Treasure in heaven, generation with them, I pass the baton on my jits. Had to make sacrifices for this. I can fake, had to cut off some friends. Vision late ever since the beginning. Go get the bad, then bring it in. Every L was a lesson you did. At the nest, had to handle the biz. I bought a whatchamacallit, and it's chilling right over the fridge. They tryna at me, I'm running the race. I gotta pick up the pace. They throwing shade, but I'm gone. You gotta keep it a buck to my face. Taking that gang out of space. It's best if you stay in your place. They hating on all of my songs. I don't know what can I say. They throwing shots, what I'm say by His grace. God is the shoot, I'm the lace. Running around, got me stoned, man. Feels like I'm stuck in the maze. Shoot at the Oculus a case. They sipping only 96. I can't do it on my own, yeah. They judging me off my mistakes.
Specialized Gardens is a family-run boutique garden design firm. They specialize in edible landscapes, habitat gardens, water-wise plants, education, and gardens and containers, all the way to elaborate sanctuaries for your environment and well-being. Let them help you create your dream garden.
We can also do
Throw your fist at the man. You've got everything you need with your prescription, your house plan. Throw your fist at the phony. Can't believe you went pop with your commercial.
I was diagnosed schizoaffective. But you don't have your meds. I'm about to have some really bad days.
This one's pretty easy because it's just grays and then some of these brown tones. I'm like notorious for bringing way more than I need. I started painting just from like riding on skate spots and stuff. I was gonna roll out just the background, kind of cleaned up a little bit. It's like an old box truck that this guy John owns. I used to go to Boise High and walk past this garage all the time, and he's been letting us paint on it for like 10 years. Like,
can you paint that hole in the tire for me?
Yeah, I got you. I'll just fix it up real quick. Yeah, it's gonna be tight. I like adding a couple of little elements in there that are like really subtle. Finding imagery that I like and putting it together in a meaningful way and just painting for myself. It's nice to just be able to get out and do something solely of your own volition.
I like that. That was damn good.
Thank you.
It's okay if I'm in the shot when you guys start. We don't tout to have these completely dialed in every time. Say when, James. Cool. Cut that out. Scoot it over. So when you go to write, do you write over? Right, how's that there? Okay.
I think the mannequin's hand is in the shop there.
I don't see her.
There we go.
Sure. Well, hello everyone. We're back to normal operating procedures over here in the open studio area with the piano. I hope you're enjoying your day. I hope you're enjoying Argos TV. Thank you so much for joining us. I have no idea what I'm going to write about today, but we'll figure it out. I was thinking maybe I could try and write a drinking song, but I don't know. Either way, welcome to me figuring out what I'm going to write in this session of songwriting. Initially, I was going to work on all the other songs that I have worked on so far, but I haven't reviewed what they sound like. So I will spare you me sitting here scrubbing to sections of previous shows, and we'll just write something new. How about that? Sounds good? Cool. I'm having this conversation with you, but you don't really get a say. So we're going to start with this nice F, B flat progression here. Apparently I was blocking the page, which doesn't help you see what I'm writing. What do you do when you're faced with a blank page? So we kind of have that ending G minor back into the F. Do 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 This almost feels more like a lullaby than it does anything else to me right now. Which I'm cool with that. I like writing lullabies. Sundown's coming. Pretty and pink. Sundown's coming. Pretty and pink. Sundown's coming, pretty and pink. Wisps of a little bit too much there, yeah. Wisps of cotton. Wisps of cotton go flying. No. Wisps of cotton go. Traveling on, traveling. Wisps of cotton. No, it's not really working. Sundown's coming, pretty and pink. Clouds go over the horizon. Clouds go over the horizon. Clouds go over the horizon. Stars are blinking, shimmering bright. Stars blinking. Yeah, that's better. Wow, that didn't go as planned. I missed a word here. Okay, we're just doing that. Stars blinking. Stars blinking. Shimmering bright. Stars blinking, shimmering bright. Let's see. Let's start from the top here for a minute. Sundown's coming, pretty, pretty and pink. Clouds go over the horizon. Stars blinking, shimmering bright. Telling the stories telling stories of previous nights. Let's see. Just like I'm singing to you. This is gonna be kind of the last verse here. Just like I'm singing to you. something that I try and think about while I'm writing lullabies is the act of singing the lullabies to a small child. Or really anybody who's trying to sleep, and just kind of something calming, something about nighttime, something about the kind of transfer of, and I guess a demonstration of love from whoever's singing to whoever's listening. Just like I'm singing to you. All my parents are singing too. So close your eyes. So close your eyes. Close your eyes. So close your eyes. I'll whisper good night. Oop. And so close your eyes, I'll whisper good night. And see you shining in the morning light. Sundown's coming, pretty in pink. Clouds go over the horizon. Stars blinking, shimmering bright, telling stories of the previous nights. Just like I'm singing, just like, how did that start? All my parents we're singing to, just like I'm singing to you. All my parents, they were singing to. Yeah. So close your eyes, I'll whisper goodnight, and see you shining in the morning light. Okay, so I can fit some more stuff in there. So, sun's come down, the stars are out. Anyways, what about the moon? Moon swings. Oh, it's a pretty chord. Moon's dipped low. So the next time we come in, I'm going to do a slightly different format where I take one of these songs and take it to the the second round of editing. Might be this song, might be one of my previous songs. I have a feeling it's going to be last week's song where I was talking about the memories. And is that one? No, it was the struggle one. The struggle bus one. And we'll take these kind of stripped down versions where it's just me and the piano, and we'll start adding some more layers. We'll start adding, maybe I'll bring in one of my guitars, and we'll start building a session in one of the like digital audio workstations, and you can see kind of the flow of going from this and the written page aspect of it to a more kind of formalized. It'll sound different, it'll look different, it'll be different. So that's going to be the future plan. Stick around for that. In the meantime, let's finish off this song. I think I'm getting close here with talking about the moon. So the moon's dipped low. To wish you sweet dreams. Is that kind of weird? It's fine. To something about dreams. Maybe it shouldn't be the moon talking about dreams. The moon gets up. No, but the moon comes up, the sun's gone to sleep. Moons come up. The moons come up. Suns. Come up, the sun's gone to sleep. Come up, the sun's gone to sleep. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck on this. If you're watching, do you have any suggestions? Type them into one of the many comment boxes, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Totally willing to hear anything from the cheap seats. So if the moon has come up and the sun has gone to sleep, something about birds. I want to talk about birds. Do I talk about cats? Do I talk about owls? The owls are hooting. But are owls hooting really something that you want to sing to a child? Well, let me start at the beginning. Sun's come, sundown's coming, pretty and pink, clouds go over the horizon, stars blinking, shimmering bright, telling the stories of the previous night. Moon's come up, sun's gone to sleep. All the dreaming. Dreamland. Dreamland wakens from its slumber. Alright folks, I'm just going to quickly play this through and it'll be the last thing that I do before we head on over to Be Wise and get on with the rest of the show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for supporting. If you want to support us in multiple different ways, go ahead and share this. Share the YouTube. Head on over to argostv.stream. Support us with a membership or buying a t-shirt. They're real comfy. Thank you so much. I'm going to play this out and we'll see you next time. Sundown's coming, pretty and pink. Clouds go over the horizon. Stars blinking, shimmering bright, telling stories of the previous nights. Moons come up, the sun's gone to sleep. Dreamland awakens from its slumber. Just like I'm singing, singing to you, all my parents were singing too. So close your eyes, I'll whisper good night and see you shining in the morning light. Thanks everyone, have a great week.
Hey there, it's Isabel from Be Wise Gardens, and today I want to walk you around the latest Be Wise Garden project, which is my landscape and what we're creating here. So it's definitely a combination of things to experiment with and then have some fun and design with too. This is the front yard, so it will be a little bit noisy with some construction going on and some traffic going by, but hopefully you can hear me well. And basically we'll start here where the raised beds are. This area is specifically designed for vegetable growing in these raised beds. I can amend the soil as much as possible. Right now I just laid out some, I'm in the midst of cleaning up, as you can tell. And since I don't have a compost system yet, I have to wait to fill up my garbage bins and my compost bin. So it's a little bit too much for my bins, and someday soon there'll be some kind of composting system. But right now I laid out some compost and I just used a soil conditioner. You can use compost, purely compost, anything that is decomposing or decomposed to replenish the soil and act as a barrier to protect all the beneficial microorganisms that are in the soil too. And here you can see we have a drip system for watering, and that's really important for vegetables because it gets down to their root zone and doesn't use overhead spray, so you have a lot less, you have a lot smaller chance of pathogens such as powdery mildew or other diseases that might be caused by overhead watering. So the combination of things here is the edible landscaping and the vegetable gardening with what I'll show you also, the low water use design that I'm working on. So this is kind of a baby landscape right now. We have minimal plantings and it is also early spring, so therefore we don't have a lot that has started to grow or is very noticeable yet. I have a few evergreen things that I'll show you, but other than that, still working on it piece by piece. Also, you can learn more about how to design a garden for your life. This is kind of a topic that we're talking about in Be Wise Plant Society. And if you're curious about joining an online community like that, it is also hopefully at some point in person. We will have some fun events, but right now it is online. We have a couple different workshops. Vegetable gardening design is something we constantly talk about, and we love to help others with and then experiment with ourselves, and then also a houseplant workshop for when it's winter and we are stuck inside. So the beginning of the season is super exciting because you can start to design your landscape, start to get outside. It's sunnier, it's getting warmer, and so that's what we're talking about in Be Wise Plant Society, how to design a landscape for your life. Something that kind of struck me is that we all are busy in some way or another, and when I don't take time to be in my garden and grow flowers or something simple like a tomato plant, I do feel like something is missing, and it really does fill my cup and make me more grateful, but also more aware of just the beautiful nature that we have, and also the beautiful community that is gardeners and how awesome gardeners are. And so in the front yard, the reason there is a vegetable garden here is because this is the sunniest area. The backyard, it has a few large trees, and that could be more suitable for growing like leafy greens, maybe some berries, but otherwise have to have the full sun. And in my vision and in my partner's vision, Lane, we didn't see the need for a lawn, a traditional landscape. So this I will kind of be comparing to a traditional landscape to show you the differences. So this is definitely kind of the opposite of a traditional landscape, and tell you about why we chose what we chose and what we're working on currently. So in this front landscape, we have an espalier fence that is very baby right now. We just have 3 trees. We're adding a 4th in April, and we're going to have sort of this living fence to sort of define the space and have this be an outdoor living space that is sort of private but also welcoming and has creates curiosity from, you know, people coming in, but also maybe pedestrians walking by, wondering what is inside here. So it has some privacy, or will have some privacy eventually, and then we wanted to take advantage of using the sunlight for some raised bed gardening. And this is just one way to vegetable garden. You can do it in containers on your patio or your deck. You can do it in the ground. We've done that at Be Wise Gardens at my mom's house, and that's totally possible. Just put in a tomato here, sow some lettuce seeds there, and as long as you have the right water and the right nutrition and the right lighting, you're good to go. So there's definitely a lot of options when it comes to vegetable gardening, and then a lot of options when it comes to designing your space and creating something that is artful, gives you joy, and also provides food and shelter for beneficial insects and honeybees and all those good things. So what we're doing here is I'm prepping the beds and getting some compost on them. Over here, that'll be soon. This is all gonna go either in the trash or in the compost, it's some of it has powdery mildew, and I don't want to put that in my compost because I'll never get it hot enough to kill off that kind of pathogen. Usually that's what any gardener will kind of recommend, is to just put it in the trash, or some people, they burn their garden waste. So whatever you are able to do on whatever scale you're working with. So in this bed, I'm planning on adding some potatoes in April, and I got some seed potatoes from North End Organic Nursery. This one is called a Huckleberry Gold potato, related but different things, and it is actually a purple potato. Right now, can't tell what color it is or what it might look like. These are specifically for seed potatoes. I'm actually gonna put these inside in a sunny, warm location. I got them, I think I already said, but I got them from North End Organic Nursery. And for my space, I have 4 to 5 potatoes, and I'll actually cut them up and probably fill one whole bed with potatoes, and maybe some flowers too, interplanted. So what I'm gonna do with these before I can plant them in early April is cut them. Nope, first step is I'm going to let them keep like starting from all their little eyes. You'll notice like sometimes you'll wait too long and your potatoes will start growing their eyes and things. So I want that to happen with these to give them a little bit of a head start. So I'll put them in a sunny, warm location in my house. And then from there, I will cut them in half, probably like 3 days before I'm gonna put them in the ground in April, and let them scab over on that cut section so that they don't rot away when I put them in the ground. So we have Huckleberry Gold potato, is purple, and a all blue. And this is actually a really dark blue potato. So I'm excited just to see. You can actually kind of see the purple eyes, which is pretty cool. So anyway, potatoes are fun, but they take up a lot of space. So if you want to grow potatoes, you can actually grow them in more of a vertical situation, like people put them in rainwater barrels with holes drilled in the bottom and layer straw and soil, really light, fluffy, fertile soil. And they are kind of like a vine, but they actually grow their potatoes from wherever you covered up the stem. Then those nodes become tubers. So you hill them up when you might read that, or you may have already done it yourself, and that's what that is just hilling it up. You can do it in grow bags, containers, anything. So I'm gonna do it in the raised beds and make some furrows, but hopefully we could make a video for that someday. So potatoes, pretty fun. I always like to say grow some potatoes that are special, or you can't just get at the store, so that it's more of an experience. That's just my personal preference, but you can grow any potatoes you want, and you always want to buy a certified seed potato, preferably organic. Organic potatoes are really important because they are one of the most highly sprayed crops. Pesticides wise, that is a hard sentence to say. Anyway, so it's a good idea not to just get potatoes from the store, from the grocery store, because those might be carrying, it's a possibility they're carrying something that might cross over to a different potato. I don't live in any areas where there's potato farmers. I don't live close anyway. Maybe if I was out in Nampa or somewhere where we are currently growing potatoes, I might, definitely caution someone to not grow potatoes from the store. Same with garlic and onions. You can buy seed garlic. You can buy bulbs of garlic in the fall, or right now you can buy sets of onions or bulbs of onions right now and plant them in the soil. So that's another thing about vegetable gardening. If you have containers or raised beds or anything, or even your ground soil, you can start to plant now or whenever your soil is workable. So it's not frozen anymore and it's not soaking wet. and so you can start to put direct sow seeds into the ground, or seedlings. So I'll show you some seedlings that we've been working on that I just planted a few days ago. So this is what I used for my amendment, but again, you can use anything just to get a couple inches of some kind of mulch on top of your bare soil to get it going and feed your plants too. So this cute little bed has some cabbage and kale and lettuce all along here. So because it is now 50 or higher degrees every day, the soil is workable. These are actually cold hardy plants, so even if we get down to, you know, the 30s at night or 20s at night, they're still going to be fine. I am protecting them with a lightweight row cover cloth because this can acclimate them a little bit, and also it is super awesome for protecting against pests. It's called row cover, or sometimes you can buy lighter ones than this. This one's kind of a heavy duty one. I have this doubled over for these guys right now, and in the summer I can put a lightweight one on top as these grow that just floating row cover over the top of them, so that I don't get any kind of moths or cabbage worms or anything or grasshoppers that will mow down my brassicas, because that definitely happens. Or aphids. If you have ever grown any kind of cabbage or kale and you get aphids, one awesome way to mitigate it is just to use row cover. So this is a little dino kale, or a Tuscan kale, and then I have a purple curly kale and some cabbages. And don't be afraid also to plant your plants pretty close. Kale is something that can be planted close and it will just sprawl out and not stay as short. And cabbages need a lot of room because they need to form that full head. So I gave this one about 12 or more inches around, and we'll see how they do. So one of the things that we chose in this garden was to use this gravel material, because a lot of the plants that I'm choosing to plant in here are actually native plants, or low water plants don't need a highly nutritious mulch to go on top of them. And rock mulches still, even though they're rock mulches and they might get pretty warm in the summertime, they still hold in moisture and protect the ground from drying out. There's a couple different options when talking about mulch. This one is not only style, not only a choice of style, but also a function. So native plants or plants that are drought tolerant, they don't need a super wet environment, and they don't need nutrition from that decomposing bark mulch that you would get that nutrition from that. So bark mulch is awesome, and it's a lot less expensive than rock mulch, but that is also a style choice. So that's kind of what our yard looked like before. Over in the distance is just weeds and grass. And what we did is we sheet mulched it with cardboard, the whole entire thing, and then laid out this gravel. And these gravel paths, they're a little bit different. They're a finer sand with some chunkier gravel mixed in. So you can almost see the definition here along this area. And as the plants fill in too, it'll create a definition. So one person I really am inspired by, it's kind of this style in a way, is the Beth Chatto Gardens, and then also of course like Red Butte Gardens in Utah, and there's a few other beautiful botanical gardens that have some styles like this, like Idaho Firewise demonstration gardens, has botanical gardens, and a few other locations too. One awesome plant is this. Some people call it kinnick, some people call it bearberry, and it is an evergreen, broadleaf evergreen ground cover. It'll get about 4 feet tall, and I think it gets about 4 feet wide, so I've got it kind of in this open, big open space here. But it blooms really early, and there are these pretty little pink flowers. I wonder if I can find a better one to get around to. And then it grows the little berries, which is that's why they call it bearberry. They are not edible to us, but it's a good evergreen, super low maintenance plant. I have some smaller ones. Those were the ones I was at earlier that are a different kind. And then in here, there's so much potential. There's no plants. But another favorite plant of mine is these guys. These are euphorbias. And there's a scrap piece of wood there, but euphorbias are also evergreen. They don't lose their foliage, and they have a really fun flower in the summer. This one is a sort of a reddish foliage. There's all sorts of different ones. There's really pretty, like, variegated green ones you can check out. But again, it's super important when you're designing your space to plant for the future. Plant for like 10 years in the future. So what I've done is I know the mature width of these plants, and so they're gonna get about 4 feet wide, 2 feet actually, I think. So then I have them each with enough room between them so that when they're mature, they're almost like just touching. That's the idea anyway, the goal. And one fun thing I've added to the collection, or am going to, is, oh, the tags are the wrong way, but hardy figs. So this is going to be an interesting experiment because we are technically zone 7 where I live, USDA plant hardiness zone 7, and these are zone 8. So my plans, and right now you can see they're completely dormant. They're just twigs, and they will actually bear fruit if all goes well. They do bear fruit really late in the season, like November. So one thing you can do is mulch them really well with compost at their base once planted, and then wrap the foliage and the stems and everything in that floating row cover over there like I was talking about. And that's something that will protect them from really harsh frosts for as long as it takes. And then once they're dormant, usually the cold winters aren't going to damage them too much. This does say though, the zone 8 issue is about 10 degrees. It'll usually give you some information. So their coldest temperature that they can survive is 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll see. We'll watch them. If, you know, something happens, I could put a little heater on them if we get colder than that. But I do live in kind of a microclimate, so that is something to consider. And I can always move them inside in a container too. This one is, so they're the same, they're figs, but one of them is Violet de Bordeaux, and this one's a Chicago hardy fig. So we shall see if those do well. Wish me luck. Moving to the backyard. The backyard is also in the midst of getting cleaned up, and so many things around here. When we moved in, there was not a sprinkler system, so we had worked on that as the very first step. And again, you can kind of see the definition here, but since it is just a beginner landscape, I'm going to have lots of plants framing all the pathways. And we wanted this basically to be like an extension of our patio. So there is poured concrete, and then wanted this area to just be something that we could lounge in. So long-term plans are lots of shrubs and vines and things to basically make the fence disappear, and then maybe even give us a little bit of framing here, almost like a secret garden situation. And when you look around, it might all look exactly the same. But of course my mind is always racing on what to do. So we do have this tree here that is a cypress, or I can only remember it is a incense cedar. Thank you. Brain. Okay. So this guy will only mature out to about 5 feet this way, 5 feet that way, and get taller and taller and taller. But for some evergreen interest. And don't mind the piles of stuff. So we basically just have this perennial border going all the way around as I fill in plants everywhere. And some really baby plants here that a friend gave me. And just working on things as I can and as we get plants. But we're also looking for sort of a modern minimalist landscape too. One fun, exciting thing is that the hellebores are starting to bloom. You can kind of see that's one bud there. And these guys are a little bit farther along. Yay! So fun. And this is a comfrey that a friend gave me, so it'll get really big and have small little purple flowers. You use that foliage for composting, speeding up your compost process if you need green stuff, and then also you can make tea out of it, compost tea for your plants, and it's really high in nitrogen. So yeah, there's some pathways along here, and I can't wait to show some progress as far as plant maturity goes. But again, we wanted this area to be an extension of our living space. At some point, maybe a fire pit right here so that we can gather here and enjoy the outdoor space throughout the season. And like I said, there is mostly shade. You can kind of tell this is bits of shade. We have an awesome spruce tree that is really mature. Obviously all the neighbors' trees, but then also this amazing catalpa tree that someone grow really close to the house, but that is just really magical. And if you can, I would always recommend keeping your mature trees in a landscape, unless they are just really unhealthy or going to threaten your house or damage some sort of property. But if you can, keep your mature trees. The other thing is this whole space will have drip irrigation. So, turn this around. So, yeah, we want everything to be able to mature and become drought tolerant, other than the edible landscape part of things. So we are going to have everything on drip, which is an inline drip tubing, super highly efficient when it comes to watering. And we also have the capability with an extra zone on our sprinkler system to add in sprinklers for grass if that was ever a thing. So there are some options there. Again, we just sheet mulched all this with cardboard and laid the mulch. So you can do it too. If you need help, we're at BY's Plant Society teaching DIY people how to build a garden for their life. And we also are in the midst of designing more bee-friendly landscapes. That's our whole goal, so that we're actually caring for this earth in some way or another that we can, and yeah, adding more beauty as well. So Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Be Wise Gardens is a family-run boutique garden design firm. They specialize in edible landscapes, habitat gardens, water-wise plants, education, and gardens and containers, all the way to elaborate sanctuaries for your environment and well-being. Let them help you create your dream garden.
Throw your fist at the man. You've got everything you need with your prescription, your house plan. Throw your fist at the phony. Can't believe you went pop with your commercial.
I was diagnosed schizoaffective. But you don't have your meds. I'm about to have some really bad days.
No, 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 no. Please stop!
This one's pretty easy because it's just grays and then some of these brown tones. I'm like notorious for bringing way more than I need. I started painting just from like riding on skate spots and stuff. I was gonna roll out just the background, kind of cleaned up a little bit. It's like an old box truck that this guy John owns. I used to go to Boise High and walk past this garage all the time, and he's been letting us paint on it for like 10 years. Like,
Can you paint that hole in the tire for me?
Yeah, I got you. I'll just fix it up real quick. Yeah, it's gonna be tight. I like adding a couple of little elements in there that are like really subtle. Finding imagery that I like and putting it together in a meaningful way and just painting for myself. It's nice to just be able to get out and do something solely of your own volition.
I like that. That was damn good.
Thank you.
Namaste everyone, good evening. How are you guys? Good to see you. So welcome, my name is Pierce Tai. I'll be taking you through a little bit of a yoga flow today. I'm not really sure what the seasons are like for a lot of you guys wherever you are. I know that a lot of the Argos followers are up in the Pacific Northwest kind of region. I am here in good old New York where we have had sudden onset of autumn. So we went straight from summer straight into fall, very little transition or time in between, and I know that it has a lot of us shaken here. So I thought we'd go through a nice slow flow today, something gentle to kind of get you realigned. I know I could definitely use a little realignment, slowing it down, kind of just being in the moment, being in the present, which is all what yoga is about. So if you are joining us for the first time, do what you can. My loyal followers week after week, thank you so much for joining and rejoining. As you guys know, I'm very prop friendly, so if you've got a pillow, a blanket, a sturdy book, whatever it is you'd like to use, you can utilize those props to enhance your practice. All right, so if you're using a prop, especially a block or a book, you can take it, sit up onto it. Always nice to elevate the hips just a little bit. I'm choosing to go with my nice bolster here today. Sit up tall. Draw your shoulders down and back. Let the shoulder blades hug the spine. With the crown of the head up high, the back of the neck long. Start to focus on your breathing. Just let the inhale and the exhale fall into one nice steady rhythm. It's what we call a Samavriti breath cycle, so of equal duration in and out. Now the specific breath we want to utilize for the practice is the Ujjayi breathing. So that's an audible inhale and exhale through the nose. So it might sound a little bit like Darth Vader, or maybe like ocean waves crashing, maybe your ear against a big shell. So very audible inhale and exhale. Good. As you're coming into this cycle, remember, keep the spine long and the shoulders back. With every inhale, just growing the spine a little bit more. On every exhale, root both sitting bones down into your prop or into your mat, into the floor. Just feel that connection with whatever is underneath you. Let's start out with 3 rounds of Om this evening. Deep inhale through your nose. Closed your eyes, allow the eyes to flicker back open. And if you sat onto a prop, you can remove that prop from underneath you. Set it aside, keep it nice and accessible to use maybe later. Come to the top of your space. We'll start off in a little bit of a tabletop position here. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Just very lightly here, we'll take a few rounds of cat-cow. So it's inhale, lower the belly to the earth, curl the tailbone up and gaze upward. Exhale, untuck the toes, push the earth away from you and dome the spine, back ribs up to the ceiling. Inhale, tuck the toes, brace, Look upward, fill the belly as you send the chest down low. Exhale, untuck the toes and press into the palms, middle of the back up to the ceiling and your chin lightly to the chest. Inhale, look up, drop the belly down. Exhale, untuck the toes, push into the palms. Good, a few more rounds. Inhale, look up. Exhale, tuck. Dome into the spine, navel in. Inhale, look up. Let the belly come down. And exhale, tuck. Bring the belly in, chin to the chest. Good. Inhale, look forward to neutral. Then from here, tuck your toes under. Press the hips back, child's pose. Extend the arms. Place the forehead onto the mat. Just lengthen out a little bit here. You can shake it out to left and right. Just get a little mobility, a little movement into the shoulders, into the upper body. Press your chest down. Really reach forward here. Walk your hands to the right side of your mat. You can take the left hand on top of the right one. Open the left side body. So you're fanning the left ribs open, allowing the heart side of the body to find its biggest opening, its biggest extension. Breathe deep into it. Extend the left side. Now exhale, walk the hands back through center, and this time over to the left. You can take right hand onto the left hand if you choose. Just fanning open the right ribs on this side. So a slight compression onto the heart side of the body this time as you open the non-heart side. Keep reaching through it. Open, open, open. Good. Exhale, walk the hands back through center. Good. You can take your hands a little bit further up. Try to get a little more stretch. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good. Inhale, forearms on the earth. Sweep yourself forward back into your tabletop. Reach the right arm forward and your left leg back. Flex the toes on your left foot. Exhale, bring the elbow to the knee under the body. Inhale, reach. Exhale, tap, gazing to the top of your mat. Inhale, reach. Exhale, tap. Inhale, reach. Exhale, tap. Inhale, reach. Exhale, tap. Inhale, reach. And exhale, tap. Good. Lower the hand and the knee back to the earth. Take the other side. Left arm forward, right foot back. Exhale, bring the elbow to the knee under your body. Inhale, reach. Exhale, tap. Inhale to reach. Exhale, tap. Inhale, reach. Exhale, tap. Inhale, reach. And exhale, tap. Good. Lower the hand and your knee back to the earth. Tuck the toes under. Start to press into the palms. On an exhale breath, move the hips back and up. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. For your first downward dog here, you can keep the knees very bent. Try to bring the sitting bones up to the ceiling and tilt your pelvis forward. Point the index fingers directly forward and spread the fingers nice and wide. Press down through all 10 knuckles, but a little bit extra through the index knuckle and the thumb knuckle. Turn your biceps out here. Stitch the triceps in toward the ears and the forearms in. So it's externally rotating the upper arms, internally rotating the forearms. Good. Last piece here. Just draw the shoulders a tiny bit away from the ears. Not too crazy. You don't want to bring them back too far and create a little strain and rounding. Instead, just a light reversal of the extension here. So you don't want to crunch into the ears. You don't want to be too far from them either, but just nice and natural, naturally extended. Finding some neutral extension through the spine. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Soften the knees and look forward. Then carefully tiptoe your way to the top of your space. Bring the big toes to touch, then catch your hips with your hands, look forward. Inhale, press into the feet and stand up, release the arms down to your sides. Tardasana. So pinkies are a little bit in, thumbs a tiny bit out, palms mostly facing toward the body. Stand nice and tall. Contract the thighs and lift the knees. Grow your torso as you breathe. Good. Inhale, reach your arms up. Bring the palms together and gaze up past the thumbs, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, crease at your hips and hinge forward. You can soften the knees if you need to. Bring the palms onto the earth, Uttanasana. Forehead to the shins, then inhale, extend your legs, look forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step your right foot to the back of your space in a lunge, then lower the knee, and inhale, sweep your arms up overhead for Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hinge forward, frame the left foot. Step the foot back, and then lower knees, chest, and chin to the earth. Inhale, slide forward, baby cobra pose, Bhujangasana. Squeeze the elbows in and lift the chest bone. Now exhale, press the hips back and up, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the right foot forward between your hands, lower your back knee, sweep the arms up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hinge forward, frame the right foot, tuck the left toes and inhale, extend, step the foot forward. Exhale, crease at the hips, fold, forehead to the shins. Inhale, press into the feet, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana, palms together. Exhale, take it back down, crease the hips, hinge forward, Uttanasana, palms on the earth. Inhale, look forward, finger points stay on the earth, extend the legs. Now exhale, step the left foot to the back of your space, lunge, lower the knee. Inhale, sweep the arms up, Anjaneyasana, palms together, gazing up. Exhale, hinge forward, frame the right foot, step back, lower knees, chest, and chin. Inhale, slide forward, baby cobra. Draw the faces of the shoulders back as you shift your gaze upward. Then tuck the toes. Exhale, press the hips to the heels and through bent knees, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot between the hands, lower the back knee and sweep the arms up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, frame the left foot and step the right forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold, forehead to the shins. Then inhale, press into the feet, stand up, reach the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, arms to your sides, Tardasana. Let's go through it again. Inhale, reach the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze past the thumbs. Exhale, bend your knees, hinge forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, look forward, extend and lengthen. Exhale, step the right foot to the back of your space. Lower the knee, untuck your toes. Inhale, sweep the arms up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hinge forward, frame the left foot, and step back, lower knees, chest, and chin to the mat. Inhale, slide forward, Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Keep the elbows bent. Exhale, tuck the toes under and move your hips to your heels, downward facing dog. Lift up. Good. Inhale, step the right foot to the top of your space, lower the back knee, untuck the toes, and sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, frame the right foot, tuck the back toes. Inhale, step forward and lengthen. Exhale, fold, forehead to the shins. Inhale, press into the feet, stand up, reach the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, crease, hinge forward at the hips, soften knees if you need, forehead onto the shins. Then inhale, look forward, lengthen. Exhale, step the left foot back, lower the knee, untuck the toes, sweep the arms up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, frame out your right foot, step it back and lower, knees, chest, and chin to the mat. Inhale, slide forward, cobra pose, Bhujangasana, project the chest bone forward. Then exhale, tuck the toes under, move the hips to the heels, through bent knees, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the left foot between the hands, back knee down, rise up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hinge forward, frame the left foot, tuck the back toes and step it forward. Inhale, lengthen, extend the legs. Exhale, palms on the earth, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, press into the feet, stand up, reach the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, arms to your sides, Tardasana. One more time. Inhale, reach the arms up, palms together, gaze past the thumbs. Exhale, hinge forward, crease at the hips, Uttanasana. Inhale, look forward, lengthen, Ardha Uttanasana. Then exhale, step the right foot to the back of your space, lower the knee. Inhale, arms up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hinge forward and frame the left foot, step back, lower, knees, chest, and chin to the mat. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhale, tuck the toes under, hips to the heels, and rise up, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the right foot between your hands, lunge, rise up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, frame the right foot, tuck the back toes. Inhale, step forward, lengthen, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, hinge forward, forehead to the shins, Uttanasana. Inhale, stand up, reach the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bring it back down, Uttanasana, forehead to the shins, gazing past the nose. Inhale, look forward, lengthen. Exhale, step the left foot to the back of your space. Lower your knee. Inhale, sweep the arms up, palms together, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, frame your right foot and step back, lower knees, chest, and chin to the mat. Inhale, slide forward, Bhujangasana, squeeze the elbows together, lift the chest bone. Exhale, tuck your toes, move the hips to the heels, and rise up, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the left foot between your hands, lunge, lower the back knee, rise up. Exhale, frame the left foot, tuck the back toes under, and inhale, step forward, lengthen. Exhale, fold, forehead to the shins, Uttanasana. Inhale, stand up, press into the feet, reach the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, draw the arms down to your sides, Tardasana. Good. Inhale, reach the arms up, bring the palms together, gaze past the thumbs, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, this time, step the left foot to the back of your space, high lunge. Reach the arms up. You can take a soft bend into the back knee here if it'll help you lift the chest and stitch the low ribs in. Breathe in. Breathe out, 1. Inhale. Exhale, 2, gazing forward. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Good. Soften the left knee and move the left hip forward. 4.
And welcome to another episode of My Idaho Friends. I am your host, Jaime Lima, and as always, we are going live from the kick-ass, badass, the one and only Argos Productions. Big thanks to Jeston, Erica, sweet baby James out in the back, always making sure that we're looking good, that we're looking fresh, and that everything is actually working. Lights, sound, video, the whole shebang. By the way, if you need any production work, Argos Productions is the place to be. If you're watching the stream or you have watched any of your shows before, make sure you look us up on our YouTube channel, like this video, subscribe, and if you look below, you'll see under the comments there's all the information that you need in order to link up with Argos Productions. They can make just about anything work out for you. So if you want to put out a commercial, some online content, some TV content, documentary, full feature film, whatever you need, Argos Productions is your one-stop shop. So, always grateful to them. And today, boy, do we have a treat. The name of the show is My Idaho Friends, and it's always super stoked when I get, to have a friend on the show. The one and the only, I always say that it's so cheesy, but it's worth it and it's awesome. Nathan Warner. Nate, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Jaime.
If that is your real name.
It is my
It
is.
So we're good. So if you're watching, you're thinking like, hey Jaime, what the fuck? It's not 6 p.m. That is my fault, fam. I showed up late to the studio because I was getting a song. Super awesome, super chill, fresh off the keg, Beer Island, Irish IPA.
I got the red one.
You got the red one?
I'm going for an Irish.
I'm going for Irish. So, yeah, St. Paddy's Day, my people. Not really. I'm not from Ireland. But it still works. I figure, we do it right. I do not know if this is a green beer or not.
It's okay, I think.
But it's an Irish beer.
We can just pretend it's green.
Let's just pretend it's green. It doesn't matter. There you go. The smell of it is green. So I'm going to pour the thing. So I had the opportunity to swing by Bear Island, right before we came over to the studio, and I'm happy to say that we're very, very busy.
It's
not
good.
busy like crazy busy, unhealthy busy. Healthy busy. Keep it fresh, Idaho, and keep your 6 feet of separation. God damn it. Nathan, thank you for being on the show.
Salud, amigo.
Salud.
Thanks for having
Mi
me.
amigo to you. Nathan.
Jaime.
We have it out of the social medias. We talked a little bit about your bio and all this other shebang. Tell the peoples who you are and what you do, please.
This camera?
You have that camera, but you don't have to feel pressure to look at one specific camera. The world's your oyster right
Cool.
here.
My name is Nathan Warner. I am from Los Angeles, California. I am a creative director, and I moved to Idaho about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And you're a creative director with who?
Superbase. We are a design, branding, and strategy agency. So we focus on taking your business and trying to develop your brand and your messaging and who you are as a company and put you in a sort of aesthetic light that might promote you in a way to be more successful. So we do a lot of that by doing a lot of front-end research and looking into who you are as a company, who your market is, what you do, and how you do it. And we try and find the best solutions for you.
So as a full scope, that's what the company does. What does the creative director do specifically?
My role specifically is to work one-on-one with the client. I will meet with them and figure out sort of what their needs are. And then I will take that and I will do the research. And then I have 2 designers who I work with that I will work with them on trying to crank out either a logo or whatever sort of design assets that the company needs. And then my job when they're doing that is to help sort of facilitate the best possible solution. So as they're going through design iterations, I'll work with them on trying to figure out, you know, maybe a certain color isn't working or the composition of the design isn't working, or maybe we need to explore different types. And it's my job to kind of have a bit of a background information on it and like history and research of those sort of elements to refine down what the best possible solution would be.
So the businessy side of art.
Yeah, the businessy side of art.
Which there's nothing wrong with, because
no, that's
a great deal of awesome art
that's kind of always
that is involved in business.
Always been my role a little bit.
Yeah.
Back in LA, I used to run an artist collective, and so that was sort of my little shtick. Was I liked being creative, but I also liked figuring out like ways of promoting different artists or different people and kind of building upon that so that they were successful. And I've always kind of rode this fine line between being creative and I guess strategic. So left brain, right brain, somewhere in the middle.
So nicely balanced.
Yeah.
You know, not like like totally like, you know,
not like one side of the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. Where you have like, because it always seems, you know, actually, you know what, I'm not gonna feed into the stereotype because, you know, because art is art and we need tons of it and there's never enough of it, you know, where there's like all styles and all types, but you know, there's always like this whole thing in which like oh my gosh, like the struggling artist, when in reality it's just more about like just being true to yourself and your calling, doing what you have to do and taking the path that, you know, is not the path of least resistance, but the path that speaks to your heart. So
I think the struggling artist is an interesting one because it is a reality in the sense that struggling artists only struggle because they're really good at being an artist and they're not good at like figuring out the business side of the like financial aspect of that, which is totally fair because when you're a painter or a drawer or a sculptor, like there's so many like facets that your brain is just not capable of, you know, sort of understanding that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think if anything, we need to find a way to be more supportive for that.
And I'm so glad you brought that up because it's not just with artists, it's actually with anything and everything, you know. It's like you could be an incredibly good architect, but if you wanted to, for some reason, not that it takes, you know, only a tiny bit of work over several years of becoming an architect, and like then you want to create your own firm.
Yeah.
Who's to say that you're a good business owner. Who's to say you're a good CEO or anything like that? Or with a shoemaker, or like somebody, that works with shoes. It's like, yeah, you're outstanding and like creating this product and maintaining this product, but who's to say that you understand the ins and out of launching a business and having it be successful?
It's hard.
Grow it, scale it, or whether that's going to be a legacy business for you and your family, or if you're going to sell it when the opportunity arrives.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to do, man.
We are going to dive on so much businessy stuff about the art. But before we get to that, I want to take us over to the past, but not before.
I just want to make sure that we have the right. It's superbase.co. Is the
.co.
Okay.
Superbase.co. We got rid of the M. We thought it was a little redundant. Just kidding. There's no M's in there.
Erica, where's your green hair?
It was a filter.
It was a filter? I didn't know it was a filter. I don't
have
know.
time to go to the hairdresser.
I don't use filters. I don't know.
Where's your green hair, Jaime?
Somewhere else. Somewhere else. So, with that said, so we're going to touch back a little bit on, in your journey. You've been now an Idahoan for the last 4 years because, you have setting some roots and you're doing some things. And as of right now, you're not going anywhere anytime soon. But where was Nathan Warner 10 years ago when, the whole California thing was happening? What were you doing back then?
10 years ago, I was 22. I was in my first year into my degree in design and technology. So I was in San Francisco. I was studying at the San Francisco Art Institute with design and technology, and in my courses I was studying quite a wide variety of things. Before I had gotten there, I was at Santa Monica College in Los Angeles, and I was a fine art major doing painting. I had a sort of background studies in nutrition, and I was playing with the idea of psychology, but I kind of teetered away from that. I found myself kind of more between nutrition and art, and at the time my professor was like encouraging me to make t-shirts, and so that kind of like instigated my wanting to do more design. And so when I transferred, I went into design and technology, and I started studying sort of a bunch of really interesting things. The school I went to was really highly conceptual. It had been there since 1877, and it was the oldest West Coast art school. But it didn't have a traditional curriculum. It was more like a liberal arts school where you could study a lot of different things and kind of figure out what you liked. And I was writing papers on the covers of Bon Appetit and how that related to the presidential election, or like who was president at the time in the current political climate. I was spending a lot of time doing a lot of research about sort of kind of like the role of technology in society, which was very interesting because at the time it was when Twitter and Facebook was moving into San Francisco. So it was like this weird kind of like serendipitous situation where I got to see this like technology take over a city and how that role is affected, like how it affects human behavior and like the way that we interact with that. And then, of course, I was taking design courses, I was taking bookmaking courses, I was taking wood shop, metal shop. So I had this like really wide variety of courses I was taking, and all very like highly conceptual, which was really cool. And then from there I graduated, and I went on to, well, within the week of graduating, I got flown out to New York and started my first job out there and got stuck there for 2 months, and then ended up back in LA shortly after. So
all right, so East Coast for 2 months, back on the West Coast.
Yeah. City to city.
And, and it's really cool. It's like, I'm going to touch on that with the whole moving around, but like looking back on something so conceptual, such a conceptual, higher education, higher level of education, like, do you see that built a good base for what you do now?
Yeah, I mean,
your career, a good foundation.
I mean, I guess to go a little further back, out of high school, I didn't apply to colleges. I didn't want to go to a 4-year university. I hopped in a van and traveled around the States with my buddy and his band. That's how I ended up here. And I met a bunch of guys here. And but when I got back, I was working in a print shop, and I decided that, you know, there was a college up the street, and so I decided to start going back. But what I appreciated about the difference between high school and college was that I had the ability to kind of pick and choose what I wanted. And if I didn't like something, I could explore something else. And I felt really kind of restrained by high school because I felt like I was being forced to take these classes in a way that it wasn't encouraging me or allowing me to explore and try other things. And so going to a conceptual art school was wild because there's so many different types of people. There are so many different programs that you could take. And I think what was really great about that is it gives you a broader sense of perspective. It allows you to think about things in a way that maybe somebody who is only an English major or an engineer, like, you kind of have this very narrow focus out of high school that doesn't give you the ability to see like a broader spectrum. And so I think to my benefit, that's what I got out of it.
Nice. And it applies to the things that you do today.
Exactly.
So
because we don't work specifically with one industry. Like, we will work with a food company. We can also work with a engineering company.
Right.
So there's like the benefit to that is like there is a broad spectrum of industries, but design is always at the core of it, because that's really how, as a society, we understand who you are as a business, and it's like a second language in that sense.
Yeah, and not to get too far ahead, because I don't want to jump into the future, but you guys have worked with several different entities and companies. So when you're talking about not a specific industry, so, you know, like, I'll let you say before, I don't want to name drop, I'll let you name drop.
All the companies I've worked with?
Yeah, you know, just to give, just so it makes sense as far as like what you're talking about right now.
I mean,
I'll embarrass you.
Please embarrass me.
Yeah.
I'm already going to turn bright red, my Irish self, on a St. Patrick's
As
Day.
you should.
Let's see. Out of high school, I worked for a magazine called LA Canvas. And that's sort of where I started, was editorial. And then I went into a bunch of different fashion companies. So American Apparel, BCBG Max Azria, Lucky Brand, DSTLD, Distilled Jeans. And then worked for a couple design agencies, California Pizza Kitchen, Jamba Juice, Kavita, Kombucha. And then I basically turned down an $80,000 a year offer from Lucky Brand to work for a snowboard company for $20,000 a year.
What, the whole bringing down the zipper, lucky you, that didn't do it for you?
No, I had always wanted to work in skateboards and snowboards, so I left Lucky Brand to go work for Arbor, the Arbor Collective, so they do skateboards and snowboards. And then from there I went to Wasserman, which handles athlete representatives for NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, soccer, Olympics, so on, sports.
Olympics, so on, sports. No
and then I gave it all up, and I moved here. And I thought I was going to work construction, and then I landed a gig with Albertsons here, and I did all the branding and design for the store, the Albertsons on Broadway and the one in the Eagle. Mm-hmm. And then now...
during the time they got fancy or before?
I did the fancy.
You did the fancy?
I did the fancy.
Did the, Whole Foods 2.0 Albertsons?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it that, but, some people do.
Everyone I know here calls it fancy Albertsons.
Fancy Albertsons.
Yeah.
Everyone
I know.
Albertsons. So way back in the day when I lived with my grandparents, I lived on State Street between 21st and 19th, because there's no
right by the original Albertsons.
By the original Albertsons, and that was the thing. I would just walk over to Albertsons, and I just go with my grandparents and help him with the grocery shopping and come back. And all of a sudden, like at 2 a.m, Grandpa wanted some grilled cheese.
So you're
because
over there.
That's what he did. And all of a sudden, it's like, we got no cheese for the grilled cheese. And he'll send me, and I'll just walk over there. It was like the best thing ever. And, several years later, I left Idaho and did the thing, and then came back, and all of a sudden there's an Albertsons when you can go shopping and you can put a wine glass on your cart. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
this is
Albertsons.
Fancy.
And here I am. And it's the best idea ever because you'd be surprised how much more you spend on groceries when you're drinking wine.
Oh, yeah. And having a bar upstairs because you didn't get enough.
Yeah, exactly. I bought, it was like a bourbon syrup.
Yeah.
From the Albertsons on Broadway several months ago. And I mean probably pre-pandemic that I'm yet to use because it said bourbon.
That's the only reason you bought it.
It's the only reason why I bought it. And the only reason I bought it is because I was drinking a big ass glass of wine on that cart. Anywho, let's quit name dropping and let's pull us back a little bit.
I just need to adjust for Mike.
Mike is about to get adjusted.
Hold, please.
This is the real shit, ladies and gents. I'm just saying, you get to see it live.
I love in like TV shows and stuff where they
you can all of a sudden bounce it or whatever. No, yeah,
it's my favorite thing.
So this mic is really good because it minimizes my accent. Best technology out there.
I'm interested to see how I sound.
It's So we did last year 32 episodes for season 1. This is episode 3, and I have watched a total of 3 episodes.
Oh, you don't even watch yourself?
Not including I was there, so I know exactly what
enough.
I talked about. But when I listen to myself talk, and I'm like, why doesn't somebody make me shut up? But nobody does. Back to you, because it's not about me.
No.
Nice try when you and your Albertsons wine. Shout out to Albertsons if you ever want to become a sponsor.
Albertsons
Just
wine.
saying.
So yeah, I've worked for a lot of big companies and a lot of different companies.
Yeah, and which is super fun. I mean, I remember Lucky brand because that was the thing. I had one pair of Lucky brand jeans because my grandma picked them up from the thrift store for me.
Yeah.
Because that's what we could afford, and that was the hot noise when little awkward, goofy, skinny brown Jaime showed up at Boise High in junior year of 1997 with my Lucky brand. I was and one of I'm not gonna name drop, but it's oh my gosh, Jaime, you got some Lucky brand. They're so cool. If you just unzip it, it says Lucky You. And I she did that in the hallway, and I was yet another reason why I will never go back to Panama as a teenager, because that would have never happened back then.
No, it wouldn't have.
It's just very much an American thing.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah, kudos to her. That aside. So you finish high school, eventually you're trying to figure your shit out, you go to school, and now all of a sudden you're hopping in a van with your friends who have a band. Was that right after high school or after
After high school. So I
after
was
high school. So let's touch on that.
19.
Okay,
I was 19 years old. My best friend Danny was in a hardcore punk band called the Orangeburg Massacre.
Why not?
Super awesome. They were signed to a sub-label of Warner Brothers called Pluto Records. And after high school, he would be like, dude, we're going on a trip. Get in the van, let's go. And so I would sit there and sell their merch while they played, and then just got to hang out and travel.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I thought after a couple trips, they were like, we're going to go do this U.S. tour. And we need someone to drive at night when we get hammered. And we need somebody to sell our merch when we're playing the show. Mm-hmm. I was like, cool, I'll be band mom. I'll take care of this. And up until that point, everything was good. And then all of their debt started sinking in. They were all broke. There was a lot of animosity between the band. And so this was their final trip. This was going to be it. And so we hopped in the van and we went everywhere west of the Mississippi except Oregon, Washington, Alaska, and Hawaii. So we traveled the states and basically went from town to town and played shows and slept in the van. Or if somebody offered us a place to stay, we would get a shower. But most often, I would find myself bathing in lakes or rivers. because that was the only place we could get a shower.
Builds character.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about bathing in rivers. No big deal.
All the time now. I love it.
That's awesome. No, that's not. You honestly mean it. Like.
It was freeing. It was like awesome to feel like I had lived in LA and I had this kind of like crazy childhood. And I mean, not crazy, but just like living in LA at that time was pretty wild. It was still pretty like Wild Westy.
Yeah. I mean, for you, I mean, that would have been late 90s.
Yeah, like I was there during the Watts riots and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
So it was like, it was kind of a crazy time.
Yeah.
And then everyone I went to school with was from South Central and Compton. So like I was the only white kid, and like a lot of the shit I experienced was like pretty
perspective,
normal
and,
for
and very culturally diverse.
Yeah, it was
as it should be,
and it was awesome. I totally am
yet
grateful
still
for
unique.
it.
Yeah, like.
But after doing that and feeling like I was going to high school because I had to, and like not feeling like I was doing what I wanted to do, it was really liberating to get in a van and like travel around the States and just figure it out. And that was like one of the coolest experiences because we ended up here, and I remember very vividly, we had played a show in Boise the night before, and we met a bunch of guys here, and drove up to McCall, and I remember being asleep in the back of the van and waking up right at that chevron where like, you know, where it's like right off the lake. Yeah. I remember waking up and being in some short shorts and hopping out of the van, and like it was middle of summer, so it was super hot, and I just remember like being super sweaty and looking over and seeing the lake and just being like, I'm jumping in that lake. I have to go jump in that lake. And so I go full sprinting across the way, off the dock into the lake, and then shortly thereafter everyone came after, and we had this like awesome time just like hanging out and swimming for a while. And I remember that so vividly that the first year that I moved here, I went up to McCall in the winter, and I remember coming around that corner and seeing the chevron and having this like holy moment, because it was like it was like this place that I had like ingrained in my mind, and I had been there, I hadn't been there, and the first time I had gone back it was 10 years later, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I was just about to say, isn't it amazing how like, you know, our minds and our hearts like do that for us, you know? I mean, I don't want to introduce words into your story, but I have had that same feeling, and with Idaho specifically, and it was difficult for me to explain to some of my peers, you know, in my previous life chapter when I was doing other things, and I said, no, man, like you don't understand, like I was trying to describe the Greenbelt to somebody. So over here, you know, like the river runs, you know, right across the city, and there is a pedestrian path, and also for bikes on either side for most of the length, all the way from one end to the other, and then some. And you take it for granted if you're from here until you go somewhere else, and it's like, man, I just want to like go for a walk, and have the nice comfort of like this random little gust of like cooler like river breeze during the summer. Well, it's still 90-something degrees, but I'm not burning because I have the canopy of trees like, covering me, and I also don't have to worry that I'm gonna get jumped or mugged or anything.
There's nothing to worry about.
and like describing that to like my friends from like New Jersey or Philly or anything like that, like you know, like friends from Chicago, and they're like, Jaime, like what the fuck? Like,
you're living in a dream, Jaime.
You're living in a dream. And I was like, no, man, like motherfuckers will be floating in the river.
This is real.
Drunk, holding hands, because they're like, don't drown, you stupid idiot. Right down, slam another beer, you know. But yet still everybody's conscious enough to keep their PBRs inside their place. And it's like this combination of like environmentally like savvy, you know, not trying to like pollute, but at the same time being a jackass, and you're just walking.
It's a fine line.
Yeah, and it's tricky. So I get it, because that was it for me. And then, you know, having those experiences when you're explaining to somebody who perhaps has never left like the concrete jungle, right?
Right.
And it's like just like yeah, there's this huge body of water, and
Totally.
I'm gonna jump in it.
Yeah.
There's a big there's a lot of freedom in that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain. But I'm glad you experienced that and clearly made an impact on you.
Yeah, I mean, we were fortunate that my dad grew up kind of outside of LA, and like, you know, he had a lot of nature experience, and we got to do a lot of that when we were growing up, which is cool because there's some amazing stuff around LA.
Right. Yes.
It's cool to go do. But you know, I moved up here, one, because it was like one of the only places where I knew somebody, and my parents had retired up in Sequim, Washington, so it was cool to be closer to them. I could still get a lot of the outdoor activities that I loved, and still be in like a small enough city and be able to do a lot of what I love, because after college, when I got home, I was doing a lot of camping and backpacking outside of LA, and I remember specifically going from this takes me 45 minutes to this takes me 2 hours, and being like, I can't sustain the things that I love anymore because it's just impossible.
Yeah, the lifestyle and the quality of life, because like you're spending so much time of it in the car.
Right.
And yeah, it's like the end state is worth it, but if you could minimize that by half or even more so, like why not?
Totally.
Yeah, and I get that, and that's a lot of here, like a lot of people complain. It's like, oh, we got all these people coming from all over the place, and like, you know, California gets the brunt of the hate. But, you know, no offense, Idaho, but a lot of natives here, you know, don't actually appreciate it until they leave, and a lot of natives don't leave.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
And it's just like, bro, like, you know, like you have it so good. They were like, I had somebody complain to me, like, oh my gosh, Jaime, I was stuck in traffic for 15 minutes. I remember being stuck on the 15 in California, just thinking to myself, what am I doing with my life, and how do these people do it every day? Because I was always trying to exit 29 Palms in order to get to Mission Beach.
I used to have to
had to fight that on rush hour traffic, and it just tears your soul apart.
Right.
And I would only have to do it once a week during the time that I wasn't like overseas or doing other stuff, and I was like, people have to do this every day, and it was just awful.
Yeah, I hated it. When I got back to LA after college, I was driving from over by LAX to downtown LA, and it took me hour and a half, 2 hours, which isn't bad. It's normally a 45-minute drive without traffic. Yeah. But I got good at like taking back streets, and I would sometimes like, I knew a bunch of guys with like a gallery and a warehouse downtown that I would sometimes just like I'd literally like sleep in this empty warehouse like in a sleeping bag and go to work in the morning because it was just easier.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you?
Well, and I'd just like go, you know, downtown and get drinks with them sometimes and be like, I'm not gonna go home. I'll just like, I have an extra pair of clothes in the car. I'll just like put them on and go to work.
Yeah, it's part of the lifestyle, part of the life.
Yeah.
So you did the band thing. You went ahead and you move around and you're doing all the things, and then eventually you make your way over here. You make the decision to come back to Idaho. You fell in love with it 4 years ago. What happened 4 years ago? You get here. Did you have a plan? Was it already like, oh man, like I have this like this career opportunity lined up, or I'm just gonna put like some elbow grease and figure it out? What happened?
Let's see. Around that time, before I moved here, I was actually showing my artwork down in Tijuana a lot, and I had taken a job with the agency Wasserman doing a lot of the sports athlete stuff, and moved down to Encinitas in California.
Your street cred is like, you just name drop Tijuana, like no big deal, and then like Encinitas, like places that I've been to, by the way, and it's just like I have no street cred there because I just visited and I was like,
yeah, no, I spent a lot of time down there. I mean, I got really fortunate that I got to spend a lot of time, you know, Northern California, Central, and Southern. Yeah. Like I got the whole breadth of it, which was cool. Right. But yeah, like I was down there quite a bit, and I was like going down to Tijuana and hang out with friends, or I'd like, you know, whatever. But I was dating this girl down And Encinitas, and I eventually ended up moving down there with her for 6 months, I think it was. And it was around the time my parents were selling their house, and they moved up north, and so I was kind of like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing here? Like, why
am I in Encinitas?
Like, I don't have anything holding me here. I want to be closer to my family. And it's really hard to get to the mountains from here. So, like, what am I doing? And so I called a couple of my friends out here, and it was just like, can I sleep on your couch for a while I get sorted? So broke up with the girl, asked my job if I could work remotely, and got in my car and lived out of it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then moved up here and lived in a little trailer park for a while.
Hell yeah. Did the thing and made it happen. You see, that's cool because here's the reason why I wanted you to share that. There's this, even right now, so when you look at the housing market, right, everybody goes like, oh my God, they're just coming over here.
Buying all our houses.
Buying all our houses and taking all our girlfriends and our boyfriends. And some of it is true. But at a very low like percentage, because more often than not, when you have somebody like moving over here, they're still trying to figure it out.
Right.
They're still trying to get away, whether it's like, you know, from like a negative situation, whether that might be some sort of like socioeconomic environment, whether it will be just like, you know, I need more access to the outdoors. I had a taste of it. I jumped in a lake and I want to have the ability to do that like twice a week if I feel like it. And there's a lot of freedom left over here. Like a lot of people talk about, well, you mentioned earlier, like, you know, back in the 90s, you know, still the Wild West. But over here, still, you get to experience some of the Wild West. We're not perfect. There's a lot of fucked up shit going on over here. But we also have a lot of good things going on. And I understand and I see the attraction. I mean, as somebody who immigrated here on Christmas of 94, I was like, yeah. And as somebody who's had conversation with people that have moved here from far more diverse communities and their struggle with like finding identity and finding community and finding a place in which like they can belong, even though there's all these positive things, sometimes they're not enough. I think it's unfair, and I get it, life is not fair, but it's also unfair to say and point out to a specific group of people moving over here saying like, oh man, you're just making it worse for all of us, when in reality it's just like, you know, there's the 1% that like influence things in a negative way. For more often than not, it's people just like you and I who are trying to just like find like a better way and
just be happy.
To just be happy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that Idaho offers for that.
Yeah.
With that said, you're working remotely. You're warming up some couches.
Yeah.
You're doing the trailer thing, and then eventually, at one point in time, you clearly. I'm going to fast forward just a tiny bit. Link up with a little bit of some, like...
Idaho natives.
That's
honestly the only people I met here. It's the only people I met here when I moved here.
Yeah.
And it was because I knew Idaho natives before I moved here. And that was sort of to my benefit, I think.
You were in. You got invited. You got invited to the cookout.
I was whittling a potato with a knife once, and someone said... Cool, you get your free Idaho pass. Like, you're good, dude. That was like the best thing I've ever heard.
This guy turned a potato into a little bear that you can put in front of your little Porsche or little driveway, whatever you want. Until some raccoon comes and eat it, because we got plenty of those. Freaking trash pandas all over the place. There's people here that keeps them as pets. That's like another thing. Like people like from like outside. I think Idaho is like it's like this unique like Northwest long lost twin of some areas in the South.
Right.
Where,
I totally agree with that.
Like in the South, like don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like pass any hate on the South.
No, the South
I visited. I have
some
great
amazing
friends.
things,
You know, I've always had a great time when I was visiting. in Savannah, Georgia, or I was all the way down in Key West. So if you're going to talk about South, But there's an area in between, and places like Texas and like, and some other places, or you go down into like South Carolina, and it's just like, like people have like a possum.
Yeah.
And they like, but like over here we got the raccoons,
I've met plenty of people in all states, in a lot of different states.
And it's just like
I've met people in California with raccoons, and I've met people in
Fair
California with possums.
That is true, yeah. Because
there's a raccoon and a possum lover in every state that wants them as a
That
pet.
is true. I think 29 pounds between like between the meth and the lizards. It's just like, fuck, bro. Like, where am I? I just like it just seemed like a scene of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas every weekend. This is bad country. Swatting shit. As your attorney at law. Anyway, I'm showing my age. What I'm trying to say, this is a unique and awesome place, and we're happy to have you here. And, I'm happy to be here, and I'm always just saying that, if you have an open heart and you understand where people are coming from, what they're trying to do, we all benefit from it.
Totally. Well, I guess to like piggyback on that.
Do it.
I have lived in a lot of places where I have seen people come in and increase the rent and push people out. And I've seen it a lot in my hometown, in San Francisco, in New York. I've seen it in a lot of cities. And it's heartbreaking because I remember being like, after college, I think I was like 25, I was like, man, I wish I could buy a house here. Like, I wish I could live in my neighborhood.
Right.
And I hear my girlfriend say that all the time. She's from Boise. She grew up here. She goes, I wish I could buy a house in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that sentiment is, like, soul-crushing. Like, I get it. Like, I've been there. I understand that. And I will say the fact that, like, when I moved here with that understanding. And I moved here knowing that I'm not here to change something, because in the same breath that an agency that I worked at, I remember a guy, because we lived in Venice before we moved into the neighborhood I primarily grew up in. But I had a lot of friends who grew up there, and I like knew the culture and like the identity of the area really well. And this guy from New York had moved here, started an agency, and was buying up property in the area. And I remember him pitching to a client, yeah, Venice is this, Venice is that. And I just remember sitting there, like, grinding my teeth, being like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you are like an outsider trying to perceive what this community is about. And that's not fair to the community. And I remember that so vividly that when I moved here, my intention was, I am not here to change your community. I am here to understand it. I am here to make it better. And I am here to promote it, because that's what everyone loves about this place, and that's what I love about this place.
You are not here to package it, to label it, and sell it to the highest bidder.
I don't want that. I want to remain what is beautiful about this place.
Yeah, because otherwise, why then?
Why are you here?
Oh, okay. We did the full circle. We did it. Well played. So I am so glad that you shared that, because that just brought all the warm and fuzzies. We are now going to pitch, and we're going to take a little bit of a 90-degree angle on this, because this is exciting. Talking about identity. I'm talking about, what we were just talking about, packaging and labeling, with your experience in Venice, California, and now where we're at right now. I don't mean to embarrass you, but you have now, in the 4 years that you've been here, you have done, in my opinion, a very good job of catching the pulse. I had to do this. I don't know why I did that. Catching the pulse, of our city, or and of our fine state here, the Gem State in Idaho, and at least with like the most known project that you have touched, which is Treefort. And for the agency that you're working on, it's just being familiar as to what it is that it reaches and touches people that partake with the music festival, which I know I'm not only speaking for myself. This is how you know the beer is kicking. Because the accent gets thicker and things are just like...
Do we need a water break?
No. No. This is live, baby. or going down to the loony bin together.
Right.
But yeah, what has that experience been like? Where do you pull your inspiration when you are pushing this image that not only locals enjoy, but people from out of state that come for the music festival? And by the way, if you're watching and you don't know what Treefort is, just Google it, because we have done a number of episodes and we have touched on that.
Google it.
Google it. Use the Google or Yahoo it if you're old school like my wife.
She uses Yahoo?
She uses Yahoo. And if you really want to be weird, Bing it.
Bing it.
Bing it. B-I-N-G. Or
Dogpile.
If you're like me. Oh God, you're really throwing it back. Or if you're one of those guys or gals or they that like is not comfortable with people watching DuckDuckGo. With that said,
Ask Jeeves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry.
So yeah, so as you work on this massive project, which is very community driven and is so intertwined with local artists, and then also artists that come from outside of Idaho, not just from within the U.S., from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
How are you able to grasp all that information, pull inspiration from it, and then deliver a final product? Very loaded question. That was a big one. I just want to shut up and drink my beer. Go ahead.
No, that's fair. To be fair, I don't want to take a lot of the credit for what is going on currently with Treefort, as in I am manifesting someone else's vision. So I'm purely, to this point, helping them push along a lot of the ideas and designs that they've had.
Okay.
But year 10, I am doing a big push as far as like a bit of a rebrand, which during the pandemic was a beautiful time to kind of take a sidestep and say like, what have we been doing for the last 10 years? What is successful? What is the things that are iconic? What are the things that are the most important to this? Purely from an iconography standpoint. And messaging, like that's sort of where we focus with the agency, but I don't know. Treefort is like something that I am very passive on. It's something that I work on. It's something that I help with because I like the community aspect of it. But my role in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, since November, I've been working with James Lloyd. Shout out James Lloyd. He's the illustrator. He does a lot of the work, and he has been doing all the work for the last 10 years, 9 years. So really, I am leaning on him as sort of inspiration because he's been the vision for it, right?
Right.
My role as being a creative director and, working in branding is how do we take that to the next level where Treefort gets to be iconic, it gets to be recognized, it gets to maintain this consistency in a way that allows it to be more successful in the future. And so really that's kind of where I'm at now. And when we went through that process of establishing the brand, which isn't even out yet, so no one will see it maybe for another 2 years.
Oh gosh.
Which is my job.
Right.
In a nutshell.
Yeah. 2 years, no big deal.
But
patient.
What I'm doing in that situation is really trying to establish, what is the heritage of the brand? What is successful about the brand? What are the things that people recognize about it? What makes it notable? I think there's a really good example right now that just has surfaced and actually has been talked about quite a bit, but Burger King just rebranded.
Okay, yeah.
And they didn't go forward with a new brand. They went backwards with an old brand that they had done into the 90s, I believe.
Did they just, are you saying that Burger King brought back mom jeans?
I mean, I feel like...
Not that there's anything wrong with that, because you ladies wear whatever the heck you want. You do you, boo. I'm not here judging.
I mean,
and saying you wear it and you own it.
They definitely went a little more nostalgic.
And men and they. But I just say, like you know how like things have like it's almost like
cyclical.
recycling, right? Like,
but it's different. Like you have to think. There's something important about branding in the sense that you have to think about if you're going to rebrand or reestablish yourself, you need to think about where did we come from? Where is our heritage? Where did that start? Where is the future of that? What does the market look like in 10 years? But you also need to think about, on top of that, how does this function on like a mobile phone? How does this function on a big banner? And so you have to think about the scalability of it. Yeah. And so that's something new in branding that I think is becoming more prevalent in the last like 5 years that no one was really ever thinking about. And I think that's what's cool about doing this Tree Fort project is like, okay, how do we take the logo and everything associated with it? How do we simplify it? How do we tie it back to the origins and the history of Tree Fort? How do we look at the story that it's told up to this point, and how do we build upon it?
Does the message remain the same?
It should. It should always remain the
with
same.
Tree Fort, and I don't mean to steal words that are not my own, but Tree Fort is for everyone.
Right. No, we've decided that Tree Fort is for no one anymore.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
And here we are.
No,
there's the door. Thank you for coming.
No, it's still for everyone. It's still for everyone. It should remain that way. It
Right.
should be like a, that's what's cool about it is it's not like.
And I agree because a lot of these other music festivals, and not to paint, or California or some other places, Oregon and Washington, in a bad light, where in which like their music festivals is like, oh, like this is the cool place to be,
right?
And there's limited to all of this, and of course you're like. Your super rich / influencer friend was able to get like the first 50 tickets for everybody and nobody else could get them, so screw you.
Yeah.
So over here, inclusivity is at the center of everything.
Yeah. And those are conversations we have in the design process is how do we make it more inclusive? How do we set it up in a way where it's not, we're not like leaning on things like gender. We're being more fluid with that. We're being more understanding of people in the trans LGBTQ community and all that sort of stuff. It's like we want everyone to feel invited, and we want to be thoughtful and intentional about the content we're releasing to do that.
It is a crazy thing. So my 6-year-old, and he just recently became 6-year-old, and like he doesn't think of Tree Fort as Tree Fort, but he thinks of it as the Fort Festival because you have, what was it, like Kid Fort, like the aspect of it in which like, there's all these like boxes and, on cardboard, and you're making a fort.
Yeah.
Literally on this huge parking lot with other children and whatever. And then you just let your kids go wild. And he's just wondering, he's like, Daddy, when are we gonna go to the Fort Festival? And it's a wild thing because clearly last year it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But the year before, I had the ability to go and dive into Tree Fort early, like really early. And I brought my oldest with me, Uriah, the littlest nugget, or nugget now because he's 6, and then he's got a younger brother. And we got to have this amazing one-on-one time in which I was able to take him through all the art stuff, like like the
exhibit.
One of the exhibits, what's over by where the Waihi Plaza was at, and he came over with me also as well when we were listening to like all the NPR type stuff, that, like the inclusivity and talking, about like all the literature projects that were coming out and some of the I don't want to sell them short, and I'm trying to like really bring back down memory lane, but to me it was special because my son got to spend that early Tree Fort time with me, and early Tree Fort is a very selective crowd because there's no music. There's not like all these like loud partying or whatever.
Right.
A lot of it has to do with like local artists and artists from out of town.
Yeah. lectures, stories.
Lectures and
there's
stories. Story for. Thank you so much. Because Erica over here from Argos Productions, like
we talked about that.
She was helping with that. She was talking about that. Yeah, and like there's a picture of Erica and I and my son. Our producer here, Erica, because it was just one of those things like story for like, and they were, now I remember, like sharing stories from refugees and people from that, like a lot of people might or might not know, like Boise has a very, well, Idaho as a whole, because Twin Falls does a really good job on this too. Like brings in a great deal of that refugee population, and again, it just makes us better.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it makes us better. And a lot of these people sharing their stories, and it was just like really amazing. It was really cool to have my kid. And of course, at the time he was 5. And perhaps he's not going to remember the content, but he's going to remember the time.
The experience.
And the experience that he spent with me. And
so
for me, just the same way you were explaining that time, it's like, you jump in the lake. I have that very same experience, like that with the outdoors, but now, because between you and I'm an adultier adult, and that's very like, that I'm really fucking with that term, because perhaps you're adult better than I do, but I'm a little bit older than you.
Yeah.
And I have the children, and things like that, and that's my like story now. So all these other things, my individual selfish stories have taken a back seat, because I have these stories with my children in which is just like, oh my gosh, like my kid experienced it, but I was there because I brought him there and he experienced that. So I'm very much looking forward to what it is that you specialize in and the work that you do, which is the messaging.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, I am a drop in the pond of Treefort. Like
I know that, and I know that, and I appreciate you being so humble about it.
No, it's, I mean,
so and when eventually we're going to be very early in my Idaho friends, when we got done with the pilots, and then the pandemic started, and we had to do the interviews from my basement. We had Drew, our friend Drew Lorna, one of the original OGs of Treefort, and I was going to have him on again, and then he's like, no, man, you got to get Megan.
Yeah,
so,
Megan.
Yeah, and she'll be on eventually, and like, knock on wood, and it's going to be awesome, and we're going to be talking about all those things.
Yeah, Megan's the person, I'm just the kind of like, and she'll probably attest to this, I'm the pushback that's like, we got to do this better. And I'm just the like dude who like ruffles the feathers and makes sure we're doing it right, as I like to think about it. But
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's just one of those things in which like, I'm trying to like.
What are you doing there?
People are interacting with like what we're saying, and I'm trying to send out a heart to Joyce.
Joyce, we're sending you a heart.
Joyce, sending you a heart.
Or on yours?
It's on mine.
Okay.
It's on mine. If you're saying Joyce and a big old heart, so her husband was in my team and he was in my unit. Back
cool.
On, again, the previous chapter life, Big Joe. Shout out to him. He was the only one. So, you got all these like tough guys or whatever. But like, I have a great deal of love for Joe, because Joe was always a fighting man. A lot of military.
Is he still a fighting man?
He is most certainly a fighting man. He's like, and it's just like, it's one of those things where him and I, one time we had to, it was our turn to go and, in lamer terms, had to keep an eye on all the ammo that we were going to be training on at this range. So we had to go and like spend the night there. And I told Joe, we should bring some boxing gloves and we should fight. God. And the thing is, like, Joe is actually has trained as a fighter. But what he didn't know, or maybe he did know, I can't remember because it's been some years ago. I tell you, I also enjoy fighting, and I have always fought. My thing is, like, my goofy, skinny brown ass doesn't come across as a fighter. I just come across as goofy. But when you look at Joe, you're like, Joe probably, like, will kill you. Joe is like, I don't want to head off. No, like Joe is like such an awesome, sweet human being. He's by far one of my favorite people that I met in my time in the military. And his wife is just like this sweet, like super uber cheerleader, friends with everybody and hearts everywhere. And Joe just is very rough. and I just don't know what is it about me. It was like, Joe needs to be my friend. And I would try, like, that's the problem. I was trying, and then I would try so hard, like, Joe, like, when are we gonna hang out? Like, you know, you guys with my wife, your wife, and all this other stuff. But I believe that one day that we had to watch over the ammo and spend the night there at this range, because then the next day the rest of the team was gonna come over, and like, those were like the golden days of like Marine Special Operations Command, because we just had all the budget, and so we got all the ammo, and we would just shoot thousands of rounds in order to be proficient to do all the other things. Not that any of that matters, but it's different when you get to spend some time with a dude, and then you're like, and now we're gonna fight.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool, and it was like really friendly, and it was not like, oh, like I'm gonna kick your ass and now like you're gonna be unconscious, but it was awesome. And you know, and it's really cool because I was always happy-go-lucky and goofy. Nothing had ever changed, but Joe was always very, very, very serious. But the one thing, and I will like, you know, Joy's not here, and Joyce is replying, you know, but
Joe, tell us what you think.
right, if Joe happens to be there. But I don't know that anybody else fought Joe.
Yeah.
Joe's tough. Joe's a tough son of a bitch, but I love competing in fighting, and that's why I box, and that's why I do boot night, and that's how I, you know, and that's how I turn my meniscus.
Right.
It's just like, and it's worth it, because to me, it just makes me feel alive. So
it's that like
a great deal of love to Joyce. Thank you for tuning in, Joy. I appreciate you, and send my love to your two boys and your beautiful, awesome, and Care Bear of a husband. He's like a Frankenstein.
More people tuning in. They want to hear more about Joe.
But to me, he says, well, Joe's a tough son of a bitch. Joe said, you know, he's your, well, it's St. Paddy's Day. And he doesn't get more Irish than my beautiful Joe.
Is he Irish? What's his last name?
It does. She said, we love you. Joe does too. He's just quiet about his loves. No. Joe Wade.
Wade? That's not even an Irish last name.
Well, okay. Oh, excuse me. Oh, the hell. But, you know, sorry. Does it have to be McGuinness? I'm just saying. Like, you know, well, like, he's pretty white and pretty pasty and pretty freckly and pretty
doesn't make him Irish. It could be like 100 other European countries.
He's fairly Irish, man. I'm just saying, dude. He's fairly Irish. But, you know, he, to me, like, Joe is the epitome of, like, you know, within, like, the Marine Corps values, honor, courage, and commitment. And he's just a really good dude. And he always put the well-being of his guys before anybody else's. And
should we call him right now?
That's he will
Do
be
we
so
need to
mad.
call him?
He will be we're not calling Joe. We are not calling Joe. We are definitely not calling Joe. But no, but, you know, there's a number of times that I have thought of my buddy Joe Wade, you know, Joyce's husband, because him and I will be the only one that will put time into. What we were doing, not that anybody cares, for like the type of job that we had, and like there was all like with the shooting and all this other stuff. But Joe will take a time aside to talk about and train about this, like, you know, fist fighting, and like, you know, when you don't have anything with you, or then all you have is with a knife, and this is how you go about it, and this is how you recognize, like, you know, aggressive, like, vibes from people, in which, like, you know, you were always talking and studying and reading about, like, how criminal behavior and aggressive behavior, you know, was around you. And I grew up on that, but and Joe did as well, but Joe had a really good analytical way to break it down. And it's so funny that his sweet, awesome wife is watching, because, like, you know, because I have never actually told him, but I always appreciated how we'll break it down, because then I would make peace with those things, and I will break him down into analytical pieces, and I would digest them in a way. So how do I use that into my advantage for my previous line of work, my previous chapter in my life? Because I was always like, oh, like it's just Jaime. And it's like, no, man, I'll stab you in the throat, and I will do it again and over and over and over in order to maintain like my guys and my team safe. Joe was the epitome of that. He amazing leadership, amazing poise, and he did the best that he could, and especially when having to like have a guy like me on his team.
I play games with you, Jaime. I know what it's like.
Right, like yeah. When we're playing board games with me, what is Jaime gonna do?
Yeah,
chaos, comfort,
wild card.
And I don't mean to, but that is who I am. So, anyways, and that's enough of that. I'm not gonna continue to embarrass Joyce, but thank you for watching. I appreciate you. She's all the way on the other side of the country, and Joe's a good dude, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Well, cheers to Joe. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patty's Day.
So it's 7:27. I don't know how late you want to go. We've gone for an hour.
Okay.
I can keep going if you want, or we can...
I have about between 20 to 30 more minutes of content because now we're going to talk about the future.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
Blade Runner 2045.
That's why we do these live.
Okay,
Blade
here we
Runner.
go. So, this is where we're at right now. You have a number of projects. You have worked with like no shit, the Olympics on the local level. 3-4. You have worked with Reebok. You have worked with. You have.
No, not Reebok.
What's it
But
name?
it's okay. I mean, I've worked with companies, and they have
companies.
names, and they're
They have
important
It
to
wasn't
some
Reebok.
people. And
I'm gonna drink more.
here, yeah, I think you
Okay.
should. I've already tapped into my second beer.
You're
I'm surprised you're not even on there.
Because I'm doing most of the talking. I have to carry this interview,
Wait, we've
Nathan.
spent half this interview talking about Joe and how much you love him.
I fucking miss Joe. Dude, it's just like Joe was the guy on the team.
Okay, we're not doing this again.
He was the guy on the team that I was comfortable talking about violence. It was because everybody's talking about shooting. Now. I was like, no, Jaime, you gotta be able to fight people with your own two hands.
Drink your beer.
I'm gonna
relax.
Come on anytime.
I miss Joe. I miss Joe Wade.
Like, let's get through this, man.
Joe wanted to punch everybody in the face, and that made me so happy. And like everybody else didn't understand. I was just like, I understand you, Joe, because I also want to hit everybody
People are
in the
gonna
face.
walk away thinking this interview is about Joe.
Because it is in a little way. It's just like,
I'm just going to say, let's quickly get on to some other content, because it looks like Joe's going to be calling here soon.
Yeah, we should just call Joe.
I'm going to have him call you. No.
All right.
Joe Wade, outstanding human being, and he was
the future.
He was a gift to Marine Special Operations Command, and I was so lucky to get to share time with him on the team at what is now known as 3rd Raider Battalion. Back then, it was known as 3rd Marine Special Operations Battalion, and he went on to continue to do great things over at 1st Raider Battalion over in the West Coast after I left. And I still to this day say I got to walk among giants and really have little to no impact, but guys like Joe are the guys that drive that community and continue to maintain a high standard even after he has retired, and you know, and the golden goal of like deploying, doing your job with while maintaining your honor clean and keeping everybody
happy,
safe, and bringing dudes to their wives, to their mothers, and to their children.
That's huge, man.
and with all their digits. So here it is to all the Joes and all the guys like him. Cheers.
Salud.
So we're going to talk about the future now.
The future.
Usually, you know, when I'm having this conversation with my guests, it's like, hey, what's going to happen, you know, 5-10 years from now? Where do you see, whether you're working with a company that's making an impact, or whether it's your own business, or whether you're a center of influence, or within your nonprofit, where is it that you see Nathan, yourself, You don't have to talk in the third person. I'll do it for you.
Okay.
Moving the needle forward, whether it's a local level or somewhere else?
I don't know. I really am a little short-sighted in the sense that I've always wanted to be a creative director. I've always wanted to be a partner or own an agency, and I'm kind of at that point. And I got there a lot quicker than I thought I would have been. I mean, I graduated in 2012, so it's been less than 10 years, and I've gotten there.
Okay.
Something I've been doing recently that I think I want to do more of, and something I've always kind of toyed with the idea of, is education. I have been taking a lot more. I started taking a color theory class from a professor in Madrid.
Nice.
Which has been cool. Like, it's totally refreshed my chops. I feel like I'm kind of at this point where I'd like to stay with my agency as long as possible. Like, I really do appreciate my partner, Kelly Williams. Shout out Kelly Williams.
Kelly, get on the show.
No, he's been...
I'm starting to get drunk.
I noticed.
Yeah. Happens.
I mean, this is 7.2.
Yeah, and
I didn't realize that.
Well, I had a bottle of wine at my last meeting before I came over. Over at Talaya. Yeah, that was my fault. And
anyway.
That's not why I was late.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love working with my partner. He's a great person to... It's whiskey.
That is whiskey.
He is a great person to work with. He's just got a really great process, the way he thinks about things. And I think what's cool is I've learned a lot through working with him, and I've really appreciated it. And I think I'm kind of in that weird spot where, like, I am still young enough to learn a lot more. I'm still in a position where I think in the next 10 years, if I can kind of maintain my focus, keep learning, keep growing, keep like educating myself, I'll get to that point where I feel like a Super Saiyan as a designer. You know what I mean?
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'll like...
I like the Dragon Ball Z reference. Dude, I can appreciate it.
Yeah, like, you'll just level up until you like, keep going and going. And, but no, like, I think it'd be cool to travel and do a little bit more of this. I'd love to go to Europe for a little bit and like work in Germany or Spain or somewhere and try something different, but I don't know, man. I'm enjoying the journey. I really for a long time had this idea of what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be, and the day that I like stopped thinking about what my life needed to look like was the day that I actually started formulating the life that I have.
Yeah, that's deep.
Is that good?
That was really good. Here.
And with that, a little bit of Center Fire whiskey love.
Salud.
Salud. And
shout out to Justin Grace and our friends over there. Yeah, there's...
And to Sweet Baby James in the back.
And to Sweet Baby James in the back. Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. And I can no longer drive home.
You want to ride, Jaime?
Totally worth it. It's okay. No, I'll take an Uber.
You're on the way.
Most certainly. Okay, I'll take it.
You're on the way home.
I will most certainly. My wife will be pissed. So, I dig it. I love it. I like it. I think that most certainly the opportunity for you to be not only in a leadership position, but also being able to influence and grow and mentor those who are coming into the business.
Dude, that's actually the coolest part about like having... This is the first time in my life that I have people working under me, and it is the first time in my life that I like feel a little bit more of a sense of purpose in what I'm doing.
You can be somebody's Joe Wade.
Yeah, I can be Joe.
You can be somebody's
Look
Joe
out,
Wade.
Joe. Here I come.
You know, you can be somebody's Joe Wade in an Argo. By the way, oh my God. Another Joe Wade fun fact. He's an amazing artist.
Is he?
That's what he went to school for.
I need to meet Joe.
So Joe...
When is he coming to town?
I wish. He was looking to perhaps move to Idaho after he left the Marine Corps, and then instead he's in some other state that is even far wider than ours. If you think that's possible. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But, well, actually there is, but that's okay because that's not his fault. He was just looking, for provide for his family and whatnot. With that said, what I was going to say about that, I lost my train of thought.
Having mentors?
No, art. So he used to. So he was in the Navy, and then he went into the Marine Corps. But prior to that, he went to school for art, and he's actually quite an amazing artist.
Painter, drawer,
illustrator type.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
I never
awesome.
saw him paint, but man, can he put some imagery in a fucking whiteboard?
Yeah.
And if you ever met my team chief and my team leader back in the Raider days, boy, did they love their fucking whiteboards.
Oh, yeah.
And man, could he just fucking create some shit.
I gotta tell you something, man. My favorite thing in the world is
Joyce is loving this.
At one point in time, Joyce, this is for you.
Joyce, no doubt, this whole episode is for Joyce. She's the best.
My favorite thing is I was designing. Actually, it's crazy. It's like right there that I was doing this, but I was designing an app when I first moved here, and I had this war room that was literally like floor to ceiling whiteboards, and I would go in there and I would like put up the designs that I had done, and I would like everything would be fucking mapped out, and it would just be this amazing. Dude, it was. I wish I had a room like that again.
Hey. You just got a new place.
I cannot do that.
Talk to your special
You have a
lady.
wife. You have a wife.
Yes.
You know what that's like.
She rules with an iron fist. Yeah,
Yes.
that is true.
And
But
you
she's
have
worth
to,
it. Totally worth
exactly.
it.
You have to love and appreciate the like decision making.
She keeps me alive.
Yeah.
And I have, clean clothes because of her. Not that I'm not capable of doing my own laundry, which I do. But at the same time, she
But
also
you're
makes sure
grateful
to let me know.
for
It's
having
like,
a
don't wear the
partner.
fucking thing that has a hole in the chest. And I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah. My girlfriend
Fair
comments about 50% of my t-shirts that have holes in them.
Joyce says Joe still loves whiteboards.
Well, good.
As he should.
I love whiteboards too.
He's doing all the planning. He's doing all the things. God damn it, Joe Wade. I have not missed another leprechaun so much in my life.
What's his Irish descendants? How do you know he's Irish?
I'm just assuming because he's so white.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he's Irish.
Well, that's the thing.
Do you think that
oh,
I'm Irish?
Oh my God! Do you know how many people think I'm Mexican because my name is Jaime?
Wait, you're not Mexican?
I am not.
I'm
Nathan.
just kidding, Jaime. I knew that.
I know you don't know that, but I guess can I do the same thing for fucking crying out loud and not get beat up for it? I'm just saying.
No, it's okay. We're white. We have that privilege. You can totally do that.
No. So, by the way, looking into the future, and we touched on that, and I love that, and I love how we were talking on mentorship, and then we transitioned to whiskey,
Which
Center
totally
Fire
ruined
Distillery.
everything, didn't it?
You're welcome, Justin Graves. That was the second to last interview on season 1, episode 30, probably, or 31. It doesn't matter. I cannot remember what I do. With that said, some of the fun stuff. Okay, so you're looking into the future, and you're talking about all these other things.
Totally.
You have a lot of side projects.
Yeah.
Come on, let's talk about them. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. You've been drinking a little bit of beer. Just let loose. Don't worry about it. Tell the people at home, on their devices, on their tablets.
I'm working with Bitter Creek Red Feather and Diablo as a side project. It's a fun one. I've actually really enjoyed that. I get to tell you a whole nother story now.
Yes, you should.
When I was in high school, my first job was working on Donald Trump's golf course as a...
God damn it. Oh my God, this is... Okay.
Let me finish the story.
Listen, Idaho. Nathan is going to finish his story. Over here are Argos Productions and my Idaho friends. We're anti-racist.
Who would have? Well, yeah, no one here is racist, I don't think.
Let Nathan finish the story.
I don't think I'm racist.
I just wanted to say it out. It's not that we're like, oh, we're staying in the middle. No, fuck that motherfucker. But, okay, go ahead.
It was an interesting time in my life. I was 14. My buddy, his uncle was a head chef, and it was the only job I could get at 14. Because my parents were like, you got to work, and I had to get a job. So I did it. And so I started working in the restaurant industry. Mm-hmm. And I grew this fond appreciation for working in restaurants. Not because it was his restaurant, but because I liked working in restaurants.
Yes.
So then shortly thereafter, I graduated and I worked in 2 restaurants. So I'd work from 9 in the morning until 1 in the morning every night. And then I'd get off work and then I'd go do graffiti down the highway, the 405. And then I'd get done and I'd go to sleep for like 2 or 3 hours and I'd wake up and I'd do it all over again, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And then I started working other odd jobs, and then I ended up in San Francisco, and I started working at this residency where I would have to cook for 135 people every night. And I loved it. Like, I loved the process of cutting and cooking food and all of that sort of stuff.
I love that you loved it. Sorry to interrupt. Keep on keeping on.
But what I really appreciated about all those experiences was it kind of like led to other things. So like when I was writing about the cover of Bon Appetit during a political climate, full circle, back to the beginning.
Yes, and I love it. This is what this show is for.
So I did that, but then I had this roommate who would like cook all the time, and he would like cook these amazing meals, and then he would bring some of the food to the restaurants in town. And San Francisco has amazing restaurants, so he would trade the food, and that was really cool to me. So I started falling in love with like food culture, and then that kind of led to me realizing like as I grew up, my parents were really good cooks, and I kind of overlooked that a little bit. And as I got older, I was like, I love cooking, and they love cooking, and everything up to this point, like nutrition degree in my associates, like all of that has played a role in like me loving and appreciating food, and I found it to be this sort of secondary art form to design. And so now I get to work with restaurants. I have a friend, shout out Ursula Seiker, her restaurant Jeff and Jude's in Chicago. She let us come out right before the pandemic to help her build it out. And I did the branding for it, and now I work with Bitter Creek and Red Feather and Diablo, and I think it's really cool that they do a farm-to-table model, and I just think that the whole aspect of it is really awesome because food is like one of those things that like people sort of neglect to realize is like one of those things that bring people together. And it's like great because the more that I've gotten older, the more I'm like, I love doing barbecues and I love like cooking food all day because when people come over and eat it, it's like this family time.
Yeah, it is by far, outside of sex with your partner. What? Too much?
It is. It's true. No, it's
okay. No. That wasn't. I wasn't expecting you to be like.
But I mean, outside of that,
outside of sex with your partner, that's just about in our age group. At least in my opinion,
it's beautiful. It's beautiful
about
thing.
The most intimate thing.
Right.
Like, I feel like such a jackass when I invite people over and then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, like, by the way, shout out to Flying Pie, but we're ordering some Flying Pie because I ain't got no time to cook.
Yeah.
And it's not because I ain't got no time, it's because I ain't got no skill.
And it's the thing.
Because my thing is smoking. And smoking
But I love smoking too.
5 to 7 hours for like my thing because I'm smoking.
Let me ask you a question.
Please do.
Are you building your fire or are you using a Traeger?
I am using a Traeger-like device.
Okay. I have a smoker and I sit there all day and I feed my fire.
So okay, so you have like anywhere between 5 to 10 hours on me. I use pellets.
Right, so I'll go there and I'll build a fire with
pellets.
coals and then I'll put
like
it
you do the
in
coals. So
and,
it's like if you go back, and I'm gonna make you feel bad because we had, our guest Jade, Jade's truck, outstanding, awesome, freaking pew 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 pew, a firearms instructor.
Yeah.
And she is a model and a character on the last...
Is she the one with the shaved head?
Yeah, Modern Warfare.
Okay, to be fair, I watched a bunch of your videos today to like
As you
understand what I was going to go through.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah,
so she's on the Modern Warfare video game and all this sort of stuff. So I knew she was coming over, so I stepped up my game.
Okay.
And she, when in our interview, she's talking about like, oh my gosh, that's like the best meat I ever had. I smoked that shit for fucking 8 hours, homie. So of course that was the best fucking meat she got. But that was on purpose. I was just like, oh my god, like oh my. And her boyfriend, Rudy, her partner, is a fellow Marine. And again, perhaps history and a different episode for a different time. But him and I had met far in the past when I was a brand new Marine going through School of Infantry, and he had already gone through his experience in Iraq in the original oh gosh, beer is hitting hard, in the original assault, okay, or invasion, however you want to call it. There's no way to freaking sugarcoat that.
Yeah, just gotta be what it is.
But he was part of that, and then there was an HBO show made about that called Generation Kill, which is also the name of a book, which is also a big ass article from this writer from Rolling Stone. You know, he's the guy that did the whole thing, and then Rudy played himself on that show. Time later after that. So Rudy and I had met each other before we met each other, because now he we like come over and have drinks, and we watch the telly and talk about the things, because him and Jade are here now. But it was just like that kind of thing, type of intense stuff. But Jade was here and she shared a great deal with us, and it was awesome and it was great. And now I am losing my train of thought because I've been drinking.
Smoking meat. We're talking about
smoking meat. And she loved it, and it was awesome. And again, thank you for all the way. So that I thought
you were the moderator in this
conversation. I am the moderator. And I am very good at... Nathan, I am very good at what I do. Don't you try. Don't you dare.
Okay, I'll just say this. I appreciate the Traeger. I appreciate the simplicity of it, and I do love it. But I have been really fixated on the idea of building fires and slow cooking and figuring out that process, because I've been doing it for about a year now. And I love the fact that I have to wake up at 6 a.m, start a fire, and figure it out.
So you're using the coals, right?
Entirely coals.
Yeah, you're entirely
fire.
Okay, that is fair. So I am not at that level, because I really appreciate the fact that I can use the pellets. Because if I'm spending 4 to 6 hours, you are spending 6 to 10.
Yeah, and I most of the time, I don't get I'll start at 8 a.m. and get it going, but I won't be done until 5 or 6 at night.
Yeah.
But when it's done, it's I'm either super disappointed, I'm either super bummed out that I totally botched this, or I'm amazed that this is the best thing I've ever made. You know what I mean? It's
I do know. The reason why I love it. So, for example, our mutual friend Drew Lorona, who was, fuck that guy.
No. Yeah.
The tree for guy. No. So he was one of my very first and early guests, especially during the pandemic when I was doing the show out of my basement instead of the studio. Thank you, Argos Productions. But when we had the baby, he had the baby, and I was like, yeah, man. I was fortunate enough that I was able to harvest an elk. I hunted an elk. I wish I could say it was in Idaho, but I did it in Oregon.
Oh.
I know. And it wasn't. So I'm a bow hunter, but I harvested that elk on a rifle hunt on my friend's ranch. By the way, next interview, and it's going to be awesome. You guys are going to love it. But it was just one of those things. He was just like, holy shnikes. And he had his kiddo, and I was like, oh man, we got to make some meals. And I just prepping, and I'm a terrible cook, but man, I can smoke the shit out of someone's meat.
Yeah.
As long as I have pellets.
Yeah.
You can tell the alcohol is kicking because I'm skipping some consonants. We're not going to go into that. I'm going to point it out before you point it out. But it was awesome, and it was great. And now producer Erica is here.
I just want you to know you only have 10 minutes left.
We only have 10 minutes left. So,
There's something
anyways,
really important.
we did the thing, and it was awesome. And he loved it, and I loved it. And there's a skill.
Well, here's the thing. Smoking meat is totally a skill, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's I will say this. Using a Traeger is awesome because it gets done efficiently, and it's right. And it's like if you have kids and you don't have to sit there all day and like fuel the fire, totally fucking understandable. But what I love about that process is that, like, I feel like I'm digging a trench or, like, doing yard work or whatever, but it's got this, like, I don't know how to explain it. Other than when I became a designer and I would sit there and I would do designs for people all day and be like, here is your design. They'd be like, cool. And then I might never see it again.
You know.
But when I would work on houses or paint houses or do construction work or drywall or whatever, there was this self-satisfaction of being like, I did that.
I will say it, and this is how we'll be closing down. There's a pull to our ancestors and other cultures' ancestors, whether it's tied by like friends or relationships or a number or anything in between. And there's something to be said about breaking bread.
Yeah.
And sharing food and the process of preparing that and sharing that with those who you love most.
Totally.
Because you're never going to be bringing over anybody to your fire or to your table that you do not like, love, or enjoy.
Totally.
So,
you are in good company.
With that said, you're in good company. Fam, thank you so much for tuning in. We most certainly appreciate you, and we most certainly love you a long time. Nathan Warner, shameless self-promotion. If there's anything for you to be said now. This camera? No, just
this
here.
camera?
No, that one is your camera. That one is your camera. This is your time. And please do not be shy and highlight yourself and the company and everything, side projects, side hustles, and everything.
My name is Nathan Warner. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you need design, branding, if you're starting a business, if you are trying to do something different with your life, please reach out. We would love to help you. We are at superbase.co, no M. And yeah, our goal is to make you the best brand you can possibly be. So give us a shout.
Google Superbase CO. Again, Superbase CO.
You forgot the dot. That's the drunk talking, isn't it?
Superbase. You said Superbase CO.
.co.
God damn it. Superbase.co. It's going to be on the link. And we put this in our YouTube channel. It's going to be awesome. So,
Google it.
Superbase.co. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys being part of the live stream. There's going to be some more episodes coming up, and they're going to be pre-recorded, and they're going to be amazing as well. If you want to be on My Idaho Friends, please go ahead and reach out at Jaime at myidahofriends.com. And yes, I get it. This is not a Spanish-speaking town, but it's Jaime.
Jaime.
At myidahofriends.com, also known as Jamie. Jaime at myidahofriends.com. Please do not hesitate. If you have a project or if there's something that you're looking into, Argos Productions can make it happen for you. And there's going to be a link to that on the YouTube channel as well at the bottom. I am so getting a ride home. This is the best day ever. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Is this the first
for sure
that he's getting a ride home?
No.
No. No, we have had. I think.
So number 2?
Or, will that make you feel special?
I want to feel special.
Absolutely. The first time
After talking
I'm
about
getting a
Joe
ride
this whole
home.
time, I just...
A couple other things too. Our nonprofit, okay, the Alliance of Idaho, helping those who are most vulnerable. Go ahead, Google us. There will be a link. If you have the time and you actually have the means, please go ahead and help our immigrant population, the people that feed your tables with your actual food. They need your help. We are here to help them. Please help us help them. Last but not least, shout out to Argos Productions all over again. Jerica, Jeston, sweet baby James out in the back. Special shout out, of course, to our guest tonight, Nathan Warner. And I cannot thank you guys enough to be a part of all of this, especially you, Joyce, and my boy, Joe Wade, who clearly took about like 15 minutes of the 2 hours of our show, or however long it is, because I have no track of time, because I've been drinking and, happy St. Patrick's Day. For those of you who are watching who will watch hopefully later on our YouTube channel, thank you so much. Please help and please support us. We're happy to be there for you, and we'll be happy to bring you more content. We appreciate you. We love you a long time. And Idaho, when you get a chance, get out there and be kind to somebody. Thank you so much. Have a great night. I'm going to stop drinking now, and I'm going to drink some water. Cheers.
Taking Jaime's drink.
Can't talk anymore. Oh, my God.